Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And did you happen to get that Super Smash Bros. 3DS demo?
No, because I am like a special ed student when it comes to technology. I'm not sure if it's just me or if it's my 3DS, but for whatever reason, I couldn't really. My 3DS won't connect to the Wi-Fi here at my apartment. So, and then you said, well, maybe you should. I even went over the phone with you. You said, why don't you try like the coffee shop across the street? And, like, that's a good idea. And I run over there, and their Wi-Fi's down for the minute. Like, oh, great. So, spend $3 on a coffee I didn't even want to get some Wi-Fi. So I'll play it when the game comes out. But I'm sure it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty darn cool. And I don't know. I will say this with the 3DS. I remember the day when I got my 3DS because I got it a tad bit, maybe about 6 months after it came out, and it was right when the price drop happened, because, I think 3DSs were $250 when they came out, or $240 or something like that, and then they dropped down to $170. I remember Cisco gave me a call. He's like, yo, dude, I just saw a fucking 3DS for $170 at Walmart. And at that point, I didn't realize it was like they were going to drop the price on everything. I'm like, holy fuck, that's like a $70 savings. So I fucking ran down. Well, I probably got in a car and drove down there, but let's just say I ran down there.
You were willing to run down there. You were willing to run down there.
I was literally like the fucking Flash going down there. I was like, oh, heart's racing. Like, they never have sales like that. $70 off. That's fucking ridiculous. And then I went to buy it or whatever. The dude at Walmart, for some reason, for once, had a lot of knowledge. He was all like, oh yeah, well, make sure you go and register your 3DS or whatever right now, because they're giving out this ambassador club thing where they're giving out 20 free games, and the whole point was supposed to be is that they're doing this nationwide, price drop on the 3DS, but Walmart for some reason is starting it a week early, so you got a fucking couple days. I think I had like 3 days left, maybe even less than that, fucking maybe 2 days or 1 day. They're like, you got 1 day left to hook your thing up to the internet, update it, and then you'll get the ambassador club thing without spending the $240. You'll get it for the $170. So I was like, oh sweet. So I remember I was on the internet, and I couldn't get my 3DS hooked up. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And then, the smart thing I did is I registered it on Club Nintendo. But I didn't know that was going to affect it. So I was like, fuck. And then I gave it to Cisco. I'm like, let's try your internet at your house. And he's like, oh, and he couldn't get it fucking updated. And then at nighttime, it was I think the thing ended at 9 p.m. I'm fucking racing around. I'm at Starbucks. The internet's not fucking working. I'm at McDonald's. The internet's not fucking working. I'm at Round Table, for crying out loud. The internet's not working. And then I just kind of got to the point where it's like, fuck it, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, I own the game. It's not like I really need them, It's like,
yeah,
just be kind of cool to have them on my 3DS.
0 hour,
but whatever, fuck it. I tried.
I just see you just kind of sitting on the hood of your Sundance at 9 o'clock at night, looking at the full moon and just going somewhere out there, holding your 3DS.
Somebody's got the Ambassador Club. And then lo and behold, thank Christ I fucking registered my 3DS on Club Nintendo, because once I finally a couple days later got the thing updated on the internet, they're like, oh, guess what? You're part of the Ambassador Club. Thanks for registering it. And then they sent me all 20 games.
Oh, there you go.
And it was bad. The one that makes it really cool, though, is because they gave 10 Game Boy Advance games on that Ambassador Club that they never have gave out. You can't even buy on the 3DS.
Mm-hmm. I was actually, this is going to be kind of a random question, but I was watching some Game Grumps a little bit ago. It made me want to get this game. Did they have a Pokemon Fire Red or Pokemon Leaf Green on there?
They didn't put any of those on there. And here's my understanding of probably why, but at the same time, it's like, really? Who cares?
Because it's a cash cow. They can make a lot of fucking money off it.
Well, I don't think it's that necessarily. I think they do the thing. They're like, well, people are just going to bitch because they won't be able to catch them all because you won't be able to trade back and forth and things like that. They've said that the whole time, that's the main reason why they've never put any Pokemon games on the download. But I'm like, I almost want to go out and ask a survey. If you were to go out and pick up Pokemon Fire Red or Leaf Green on your 3DS, what are you going to care more about? Are you going to care about catching them all and fucking battling your friends, or really just playing the story?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's one of those games I remember when I first got it, I'll be honest, I'm one of the only people who never actually caught all 151. Just because it just seemed like a goddamn job. And on top of that, I was one of the only other people that didn't do the whole cheat where you go across Seafoam Island or whatever a couple of times, then make what would it do? It would give you like 100 of whatever was in your inventory or
Yeah,
something.
whatever is in. I think it was in whatever is in number 6 on your item slot. If you go up and down on a Cinnabar Island or whatever, and then I think what you do is you battle Missing No, then you run away, then you fly up to Vermilion City and you talk to the old man who's like, "Hey Billy, I'll show you how to catch a Pidgeotto. Pay attention, Billy. My name's not Billy, it's Ash. Whatever, Billy. Fuck you. Watch me catch a Pidgeotto or a Pidgey." Or
Every confused old man always calls you Billy.
And then I can't remember what else you did from there. Maybe that's all you had to do, and then maybe you flew back, and then you found Missing No again or something fucking like that.
And it would like, so everybody would always have all their like favorite characters up to like a level 100 because they had a bunch of rare candies and they all had like a bunch of Master Balls. So, and that's me right there. I mean, I'm not somebody who like, this is going to sound very cheesy. I don't really have like this sense of like honor or anything when I play a video game, especially against computer, but it just seemed too lazy and too easy if I did that. You know what I mean? I think it would have taken some of the fun away. So I never really even did that cheat right there.
Now here, I'll say this. When I went out and caught 151 Pokemon, that cheat, I think, is the only reason I would do it, because I would not want to sit there and fucking level up every single one of those Pokemon. So that was like the thing, is like, when you just take Pokemon, you're like, oh, okay, he levels up at 32, and here's a level 6 fucking Oddish. Okay, blip, 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 blip. And then the other fucking saving grace was Pokemon Stadium. Because this sounds like it's a weird feature, but this is almost like the best feature of that game. It's because you get the little transfer pack so you can play the game on there and whatnot.
Yeah.
The ultimate thing is what I'd do is I took my red copy, plugged it in, copied all my Pokemon off red on the Stadium, put my blue in there, copied all my Pokemon off there, and then put yellow in there, and then I put them all onto yellow. Instead of having, because the other way you'd have to do is be like,
yeah,
fucking hook the Game Boys up, and then have it slowly transfer each and every single Pokemon.
That almost seems like kind of the saddest thing, like, because you don't have a friend, you know what I mean? You just buy two Game Boys.
I got red and blue, and I got my link cable.
And then there's
later, I'm gonna hang myself with
it. Once I'm done with this, because there ain't nothing left in life after I catch all 151. No, but there was that. Then again, though, that's almost the way you would have to do it, because when you think back on it, like, who was going to give you, like, you would just trade them something, and then they give it right back to you for the ones your friend wouldn't want to give you. There's no way you're going to walk away with all original 3. You'd have to do the trade-offs. You'd have to buy another game, or someone who's just really just willing just to give you whatever they had, Well,
yeah, you could have peer pressured somebody into it, like, come on, man, fucking, come on.
Take
really?
Take this Raticate. Give me your Charmeleon. Come on, man. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, you want to do it. Like, come on. Charmeleon's fucking gay. You don't want him.
He's a flamer. Really. Look at him.
He's a flamer. You don't want to be a flamer, right? No, exactly. Give me that fucking Charmeleon.
Then you get it, like, oh man, Charmeleon's so awesome. But you said, yeah, I know. I said, fuck you.
I don't care. I'm totally cool with being gay.
See you next week.
Douche.
Yeah. It's like, why do I hang out with this kid? Oh, right, he's the only kid down the block, right? I forgot about that.
I wish I had.
But you did always have that one kid. You did, not a boy named Willie exactly, but there always was maybe in elementary school to like part of middle school, you'd hang out with. You guys didn't even like each other, but it was just more like you didn't really even like each other, but just like, well, you're the only guy. You're the only guy in the area that's around my age. We could hang out. You know what I mean? That's probably
we like similar things.
We don't really even like each other. We just happen to like some of the same shit. So we'll just, tolerate each other until we get better friends. I think everybody kind of had like that one or two friends just live down the road from you. Like, well, there's no other kids here, so I guess we're stuck together, right? Yeah. And you think that would make some beautiful bonding, like friendship story. But no, it's doesn't. Like, you feed some better. Okay, fuck off. Yeah, fuck you after you,
It's sort of like, or you'd have like those kind of friends that, you sort of get just because like your parents are friends with their parents, and then like you just end up kind of hanging out, and you you sort of have things in common, but not really. They just go like, oh, you're around the same age. He's 3 years older than you. You're practically the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Well, that works when you're like, I'd say when you're probably 4 and younger. That works, because any like when my nephew was around 4, any single time he'd go up to some other kid, oh, we're the same age, we're best friends, let's go, and that's just that magical age. But then after that, it's just like, no, fuck you too.
Yeah, once you get a little bit older, there's kind of like each, especially like about around the age of 10, like every couple of years up or down, like starts to really like make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You can go about 1 or 2 up, but then like, or 1 or 2 down, but if you get like the 3 or 4, then it's like, oh, they're not even fucking,
that's when
nothing in common.
That's when you really do just become a shitty little bastard, and just true nature comes out, you know.
And then the second you get to about like right over about 20, then you realize people that are all the way up to age 50 like have the exact same interests you do. It's fucking weird. That's the strangest thing. I just remember being in high school and it was like the concept of being almost like you could be like a junior or a senior and then like really having a friend. Like freshmen just felt like the kind of like the kids. It just felt like, well, you know, you can be, you know, nice to them and, you know, sort of have friends, but like they still felt like they're in this distant world that, you know, never be exactly the same. Second you get fucking like into your 20s, just like everybody's fucking like you're all in the same ballpark now.
Pretty much, yeah. You know, it feels that way.
I meet people in their 30s and I feel like, dude, we got all the same interests. We both like Soundgarden. We both like fucking computers and this and that. We love 80s movies. Iron Maiden, fucking, we're there. Ugh. Well, that Smash Brothers demo.
Short and simple, what we're all here for.
That Smash Bros. Demo, okay, it's one of those ones, as far as the demo goes, it's pretty sweet. You can't complain. It gives you 5 fucking characters, 1 stage, and then, you know, just regular battle. It has time mode, which, you know, when I've never really ever met anybody who really likes the time mode.
No, everyone always just goes to stock. No one ever.
Well, the worst thing too is like on every Smash Brothers too, it's always like they always put it as the default. Like they assume that everybody plays time. I'm like, no, the only people that play time is people who have never played Smash Brothers before. That's the first time they play it, so they just kind of, okay, start. Okay, sure. Link. There we go. Okay, let's play. You know, but I've never met anybody who thought that time mode was the cool mode to play. So it gives you just like, I think it gives you 2 minutes to play, and you get 5 characters to choose from, and then just 1 regular level. And the characters they give you Mario, Link, Pikachu, Mega Man, and Villager. Oh, fuck. And I'll tell you this, actually, though. The Villager actually plays not too bad, though.
Well, I know. I'm sure the character, like, plays all right, but it's just like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck about Villager. It's kind of like the Wii Fit, like, instructor. It's like, really?
I really feel like the Wii Fit instructor is even worse. Like, I remember because I think the Villager was the first one they released. And you're like, Villager, come on, what the fuck? And then they released the Wii Fit instructor. You're like, Wii Fit instructor? Are you fucking stupid?
I was excited. Even though it sounds like this going back to like kind of an older thing, I was excited when I saw the dog from Duck Hunt was one of the playable characters. I was excited about that.
I don't think the dog is on the DS one though.
Really? I thought they share all the same characters.
Well, they show, because the weird thing about the demo is it just feels like they kind of just gave you the full game, but you just can't like play everything else. Like it literally shows everything in here. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'm looking at this character roster here. Yeah, and there's some other ones that I thought were missing.
Maybe you have to unlock them, because maybe you have to unlock them later or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, I guess there's like a couple spots where you can unlock it, but that's not the same screenshot.
Yeah, that's just a pixelated mass. I can't even see that really.
That's okay. Okay, because I'm like, maybe that's only a Wii U one, but I thought all the characters were the same. I thought that was the one thing that was. The levels were different, but the characters were all the same.
That's what I thought. And maybe the dog. I mean, maybe you have to unlock the dog, because they revealed Sonic before he even appeared on the roster with Smash Bros. Brawl. So it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, there was another character that
I was really excited when I saw the dogs. I know how obscure that is, but at the same time, it's just like,
I think that's really cool. Well, you know, there's other characters missing here too. There's like Rob's not in it.
Is Rob actually? Did they confirm Rob is in this one?
I don't know. Well, like,
I know a lot of people like Rob.
When I look at this picture on the roster, now this is on the 3DS one, because this one looks way different than, or it looks similar, but for some reason I thought there was a couple other characters that were on like the dog and stuff, and I don't see them on here. It's like, I noticed they literally minused every character that pretty much played the same. So there's no Ganondorf, which is dumb. It's like, just finally make Ganondorf like...
He'll be back. He'll be in there. There's no way they're getting rid of Ganondorf. He'll be in there eventually.
He's not in this one so far.
What I mean, like, you have to probably unlock him, I bet.
Yeah, it was once, like, I don't know why they, like, I mean, I guess maybe they came to the conclusion they're like, fuck, this day and age, all the Americans have already seen screenshots from Japan, so everybody knows what there is in there. So I think that's what they did, and they just said, fuck it, whatever, there's no way to keep it secret like there was kind of before.
And then on top of that, you also have Dr. Mario. I'm not sure if he's just a different costume, but Dr. Mario is in the game. So
yeah, and that's the other character. Yeah, they don't show him on the roster here too. So I don't know.
So it could just be a costume. They could have just did the smart thing, like, all right, he plays the same, just different costume. Because Dr. Mario was basically just. I mean, I liked playing as him.
He just threw the pills.
He's through the pills, and I want to say his like damage ratio was a little different, but overall, like, I'm not one of those people who knows, like, oh, this character's long range, this character's short range. I don't really know it well enough. I mean, I can kind of feel it out and figure it out as the time goes on. But you have those different people. You sometimes would watch tournaments and people know the classes. It's funny, like, you hear them, like, talking as if it's on ESPN or something. Like, it's funny he's choosing Link, a long range character, to go against such a short range character right here. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, it's
like,
kind of weird because
dedicated
there's a handful of characters that like are not on that roster that I saw on the Wii U roster. The Dr. Mario, the dog, a couple others. Yeah, because I said Gandorf's not on there.
I'm trying to think of the characters.
They got rid of, like, you know, there's some character, the Jigglypuff, because I remember I saw that on the roster too. And who knows, maybe somebody just like, I hope it's not somebody fucking with you, because that's like the worst. Is like when you go, oh my god, that's so cool, and then you realize it's fake.
Well, it was like that with, I think, Smash Brothers Melee. They first came out, like one of the first like fakes for that was you could unlock Sonic and Tails as playable characters. I don't remember what magazine it was. It may have been like Game Informer or Game Pro or something like that. It must have been, I don't think it was Game Informer, maybe Game Pro. And then they actually photoshopped some images of Sonic and Tails fighting on, like, I think Kirby's stage against some other characters. And they even showed them on the roster. And, you know, now looking at it, back then, it was just like Photoshop was brand new. You weren't really as like
tell the difference.
Yeah, now you could so easily tell they took, like, you know, snapshots out of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, you know?
Yeah. But it's one of those ones, I do kind of wish they would have put another Sonic character in there, either Knuckles or Tails or whatnot. But I mean, I know it's one of those ones like that's like nitpicking, complaining. But
what if they did the thing like, we got another Sonic character, everyone's all excited, like, big the cat! It's just like, oh god damn it.
Or you could play a Sonic werewolf version.
Oh yeah, just everything people hate, you know, just Sonic werewolf version, Cream, the characters from what? Silver, yeah, fuck Silver. I was actually I was coming up with some ideas for like a do a mashup t-shirt to just try and see if we can make some quick money selling Cafe Press. I was thinking of doing like a Reservoir Dogs of Sonic characters, but just going by all the characters' colors. But then I realized, oh, that means Harvey Keitel is Silver. So, because that's the only white one I could think of. So, oh, fuck that. It's not happening now.
It's not worth it for that sacrifice. I'll find some other game genre that has a white character in it.
Yeah, Silver does not deserve the mantle of Harvey Keitel. Does not deserve that mantle. So, yeah, I was trying to I was going, okay, so
I'd make it Dr. Robotnik if that's the worst case scenario.
Dr. Robotnik could be the Joe.
Yeah, I agree.
He could be Joe or Nice Guy Eddie.
Yeah.
I was, there is a Mr. Blue, so that was going to be Sonic right there. He's not the main guy, but he's there. You got Mr. Brown. That could be, I don't know, who could Mr. Brown be? That Mr. Brown could be.
It sounds weird, but it could probably be Knuckles because Brown's the closest thing to Red because it's not a Mr. Red.
It would be like probably one of the more.
Or yeah, Mr. Pink be Mr. or be Knuckles.
Mr. Pink, Amy would be
oh,
Mr.
Yeah, duh.
Just be Then you got it was getting confusing. I had them all lined up. They're like, well, this character's that. Oh fuck it, this mashup shirt's never gonna happen.
That's like your Pulp Fiction smash up thing or Smash Brothers mashup.
I'm gonna do a better version of that. Yeah, there is.
I remember at first you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make Jules Donkey Kong, and then it's just.
I didn't put it together. I didn't think about it. I just wanted it like two big iconic characters. I did not think about it whatsoever. It did not cross.
You made Vince Luigi, right?
I made Vince Luigi, and then I just I want to get another big character. Donkey. I honestly did not put two and two together, and I just wait, yeah, that's gonna sound and look pretty bad. Okay, he's Meta Knight. That works good. That was good.
The only thing though is I will say this. I just think Donkey Kong fits 100% to Jules. That's not a racist thing because we're all monkeys here, so there's no fucking racism there. I just think that Jules reminds me of he's just big, brooding, and scary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Donkey Kong.
Suave as fuck,
Mm-hmm.
He's a bad.
Donkey Kong's wearing a fucking tie. Come on, how classy is that?
Donkey Kong's a bad motherfucker too. Come on,
Exactly.
And that's not, I did not put two and two together. I just stopped the last minute.
Pull my banana out of there. Which one is it? It's the one that says bad motherfucker on it.
Well, no, at one point in time, I realized this would take too much time and too much work. But at one point in time, I was thinking about just as little creativity as this was involved with. I was thinking about just going and trying to reanimate Pulp Fiction just all with Nintendo characters and just retell it, just Nintendo characters and maybe change some, Keep in mind, this is early college when I just learned.
I still think that like an idea like that, if you just took tidbits and if you made it like a trailer, I think that's the thing to do. Is just make it like a minute and a half trailer and literally just cut the audio, cut the trailer. Just the original voices, just the animation is old Nintendo characters. I think that's good enough in itself.
Samus was Mia, Luigi was Vince, Meta Knight now Jules, Bruce Willis was Mario, Bowser was Marcellus. But yeah, no, that actually, who knows? I might redo a review because we're trying to. I mean, no promises here. Designs we're coming up with, and it's kind of hard just given legal stuff and looking through loopholes around it. We're gonna try to do a bunch of like mashup shirts and stuff like that to sell. So, because you see a lot of cool stuff online like that. So, but it's all a matter of like I think Mario might be a little bit of a harder one to go around. I think more obscure things like anime characters are probably a little easier.
Well, all you gotta do is because I read up on it. It's got to be as long as it's a parody, then you're totally protected by law, and as long as you just don't show any like trademark logos. So like if you probably just all you have to do is minus the
IBM
M on the hat. Yeah. If you just or what you can do is take the M off and just make it a white thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's gonna like there as long as everybody's gonna get. And then if you kind of draw them, maybe don't draw them like round and kind of cartoony, but draw them more like just different. That's all you really gotta do.
Yeah, I have a couple other ideas, and I'll just if they I won't say them. If they pop up, they pop up on the website. If they don't, then whatever. So
that's something literally for about almost close to 10 years by now. That's always been on my back burner. It's like I want to make some T-shirt ideas. I want to make some T-shirt, and then strange enough, it's just never have that like little bit of extra time just to go out and draw them and get them ready and then put them up there. But it's something I think about literally every single day that like at some point, man, I'm gonna get to the T-shirts, man. Once I'm done with this editing and this animation, I'm gonna fucking make the T-shirts, and I never get to it. But back to that Smash Bros. I will say this though.
I was trying to think of something clever, just that. Yeah, I'm out. Go ahead, suck Smash Brothers.
It's one of those ones like I was playing it and it's totally fun. It really was one though. It's like I don't know. Like I know it's probably this weird thing where they're like we don't want to change too much. But we don't, it's like it almost feels like it's got some more items in it. It's really just melee, once again, kind of like how like the Brawl was, because that's kind of how Brawl felt too. Is melee was this? I mean, I put like 150 plus hours in that game. I played so much melee, and then when Brawl came out, yeah, I played it. I had a hell of a good time with it. I felt like I got my money's worth out of it, but I probably put 20 hours into that one or something, maybe a little bit more.
I think the biggest difference between Brawl and Melee was I think it's more than anything just like the timing, because Melee was when we were in high school. Brawl is when we were in college and everyone's going in different directions, and so that's when we all played it a lot for like the first 3 or 4 months it was out. Then after that, it just kind of we would go back to it every so often, but there wasn't that amount of dedication just because once we even were done with Melee, or once we were done with Brawl, we never went back to Melee even. So it's kind of like...
I think I only played Melee once because that was all somebody had at one of their houses.
Yeah, so I want to say that like most people, I mean, just given our group, I just want to say people went their own directions, and people, some people moved, some people went to college, whatever, and so that's why we kind of stopped playing it so much.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of like I had that same problem with like practically every other fighting game known to mankind too. Is that like once you start having like those, your friends all come over on the weekends, then it's like multiplayer games kind of go out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you kind of get to like the sad, lonely place. You're like, oh, I'll just go play all my single-player adventure games.
Or I'll just fight the CPU, and talk shit to them.
Yeah, fuck you, CPU. I'm so much better than you.
Oh, that's right. The CPU doesn't talk shit back. I missed that.
And I can't see the CPU's shame when I beat him 5 times in a row. And then he has to make me dinner.
Time to pull out the Game Boy USB Noose.
I knew this day was coming.
I was saving it.
I'm going to take the link cable, tie it up. That'd just be the saddest thing you want.
When I got 150, I got that Noose ready. Then I realized there was one more that kept me busy for another year, finding someone with a Japanese copy that I get that one more. Then, by that time, Smash Brothers came out, so there's reason to live again. But now, here I am, the same crossroads. The places life takes us.
You just walk in and all you see is somebody just swinging very slowly from a link cable noose tied to the ceiling, and on the ground there's a copy of Pokemon Yellow. It just says like, right when you get that little certificate when you catch all 151 or whatever, and the guy gives it to you, it's just what it's left on, and you can just see the battery just slowly fading out.
Then you get like a slow pan out, the Rolling Stones. You're just a memory, and you used to mean so much to me. It starts to play. It's like a slow pan out. Just a memory. Eating outside.
This Super Smash Brothers, okay. It's one of the ones. The only thing I could probably say might be the complaint, and this might be where like the 3DS like XL comes in. It's just, the second that the characters start going off in their own directions, then you're literally looking at things that are like a quarter of an inch running around.
I can see that, yeah.
It's not terrible, but like this game is totally made for the XL.
Yeah.
That's about probably me. I mean. The level that there wasn't that big, but if they put any levels in there that are any bigger than that, it's just like I don't have Hyrule Castle, but if you had Hyrule Castle from the GameCube one,
okay.
you would have no idea what you were looking at.
How does Mega Man play? That was a character I was really excited about.
He actually plays pretty good. Like at first I was like, what the fuck? He can't because I was expecting him just to do the charge thing, but they have him like Mega Man 1 where he just goes pew 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 and just shoots, no charge whatsoever. And then like his up, down, left, and right attacks are all different kind of items. He plays pretty good. He plays pretty good. I guess I was expecting him to play maybe a little bit different, but he plays pretty sweet.
I guess you have one or two characters that already do like the hold down in charge, or you have Samus that does that probably.
I think that was the thing. Since Samus did it.
Plus they didn't want what if they just we got Mega Man, but then he plays exactly like Samus.
Yeah, so I think they wanted to change it up just a bit there. They put the old Brinstar level back into it from the 64 one, and then they put the Jungle Japes from DK's level on GameCube.
Awesome.
And then it looks like, because you can look at all the levels, even though you can only play one. There's a Paper Mario level, there's a Rainbow Road one, Mario 3DS. Of course, we got Corneria, but it's cool because it's a 64 looking one.
No,
it's the GameCube one, because the 64 one was at nighttime, right?
Yeah.
Or in space. Nighttime
Corneria?
or space, yeah.
Same thing. It's always space. It's always nighttime in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Corneria.
Well, what if you're next to the sun, though? Is it always nighttime in space?
What? Wait, what?
If you're flying next to the sun, is it always nighttime in space, or is it always daytime?
That's some deep shit. You just raped my fucking brain there.
We need to fucking hunt down Star Fox and ask him that question.
Yeah.
They took out Falco in the game.
I want to say
Gray Fox or Star Fox.
I want to say Corneria in Sector Z. Weren't they both on N64? Weren't there two levels? There's a Corneria level, and then there's also Sector Z.
I don't think so, because on the N64 one, there's one level per character, I think, and then there's
I remember because I remember fighting in Sector Z, but I also want to remember there being some N64 type graphics on fighting on top of the Great Fox in Corneria. I want to say maybe that was actually Smash Brothers Melee.
I think maybe what it was is maybe you're in Sector Z or Y or whatever, like in the 64 one when you're flying on Gray Fox because you're in space, and then maybe it's in the GameCube one they call it Corneria because you're flying on Gray Fox, same level, but just the background's different.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah.
It's funny because like that level's such a simple level when you really break it down, but that's always been one of my favorite levels.
That one, when you're fighting on Venom, was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All the Star Fox ones are always pretty cool.
I wish that what they would do is they'd bring back the Pokemon level from the 64 one. I love that level too.
It was I don't remember which town it was, but it was the big city town from the original games.
Yeah, it was
the one where the psychic chick is. The one where the psychic chick
Saffron City.
So yeah. So there's that one. One of my favorites, and this is kind of like, this is almost too. When you're younger, I mean, now it's like, oh yeah, retro stuff, cool. But when you're younger, it's just like, oh my god, this, it's amazing. But like there was the World 1-1 from Mario Brothers, from like when you first play that was like one of the first unlockable levels, I think, in the
GameCube one.
No, actually, I want to say that was actually in like the 64 one,
Was
World 1-1. I want to
Maybe
say it was. I mean, it wasn't pushing graphic capacity or nothing like that. I want to say maybe it was GameCube only, but I want to say that was like one of the really cool ones you unlocked in the 64 one.
I think that might have been. Sometimes I'm kind of drawing a blank on that.
Mm.
But someday, you know what I think they should just do is I always thought they should just put the 64 one on the 3DS. I don't know when that day's ever going to happen. Or I said that on the regular DS, but...
Yeah, you think they... I'm surprised it took them this long. I'm surprised they didn't come out with like some kind of Smash Brothers Game Boy Advance game. Like a simplified...
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, as you look at Sonic... Once again, a lot of times Sonic does... They may copy, like Nintendo, but what they'll do is they'll do what Nintendo hasn't done yet. Because remember they made that Sonic battling game on the DS? Or on the DS, on the Game Boy Advance?
Uh-huh.
And that was actually a pretty sweet game, And that was, in a sense, it was Smash Brothers.
I didn't like the story mode so much because you were dragging around the robot and each character was a different chapter. It's like, I don't want to play as fucking Rouge.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that part, though. But the gameplay-wise, it was great.
Yeah, gameplay-wise, it was a fun game.
But it's kind of like perfect examples. I always look at that Sonic fucking RPG, too. That was like, well, it was once like, oh, there we go. There's my Mario RPG, too, that I've always wanted, and with Sonic characters. But,
and then you look at
but Sega, the only thing is, every once in a while, Sega will just kind of like fuck you over something. They'll be like, oh, this is such a great concept, and like that other one with like the fucking story mode, just like the Sonic RPG for DS, they're just like, but you got to use the stylus the whole time because we want to be creative. What you like that Zelda game where you had to play with the stylus the whole time? I'm like, I didn't play that Zelda game actually because you had to use the stylus the whole time.
Well, it's the closest thing you're gonna get to Mario RPG too, so fuck you, buy it.
Fuck you stylus non-using motherfucker. Sega.
That's their new like. Well,
what they need to bring back is they need to bring back 1996 fucking Sega logo where it's like Sega.
Well, it used to be. Well, it actually went more crazier as it went on, and it started off like Sega, like Second Coming of Christ. That's the way they're trying to present it.
You're on the Genesis.
Yeah, like. Big fucking deal, Sega. Then it went to like crack like Sega! Like some like,
it's just like
they went to some like hobo like out in the street and just
doing
like,
meth.
Yeah. And then after that, I want to say they like, okay, let's tone it back again a little bit. And then it was a Japanese dude like Sega.
Well, there's that one. It's on.
There's
Dreamcast.
Sega Saturn for a few. Like I want to say Sega.
I think so. And then on Dreamcast, there's the ones where it goes Sega AM2.
And then there's also the other one where it was kind of like, it was more like, it didn't even say Sega. It just had this very kind of like, Sega, it's all mystical and wind chimes and shit,
You know what's one of my favorite ones?
They had that one for a little while.
It doesn't say Sega, but it just takes me back to fucking like 1991 or 92 or 3. Actually, 93, because that's when it came out, I think. But it's the one on Sega CD where fucking Sonic stand there and he shakes his finger and then it goes, little sparkles come out and it goes, it's just like a little keyboard tone. Oh, when I see that, it's just like, it takes me back, man. It's like another thing that always takes me back is anytime you watch like 80s movies and just the certain like movie production logos that come up, like fucking Orion or TriStar. Like whenever I see that, it takes me
old
to
Lionsgate.
Warm. Yeah, even Lionsgate. Even though Lionsgate, I'm thinking I'm
thinking like the older Lionsgate logo.
Because like whenever I see those 80s ones or Corelico or Corico or whatever that one's called. Like when I see those and there's that sound that comes from them, that old 80s sound, it takes me back. I'm like, I get this nice warm feeling. It reminds me of my childhood, watching sweet action movies or whatnot.
There's actually I went to go see Tusk last night, and they actually I want to say the AV2, whatever the company is, they have they make their logo look kind of like that. It has kind of like a little bit of an 80s kind of like saturated kind of look as it comes on.
And the music kind of has a synthesized sound.
Oh, like one of the logos did, yeah, but I totally had that. Like that kind of took me back for a second.
It's like that because I like that when Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez do that too, because it takes you back to the 70s ones.
Mm-hmm. Or they'll have kind of like this film was rated X, and like they'll have it's just like, or it'll be a picture of a kitten. This film is not for, and then all of a sudden like it cuts to like a panther, like restricted audience or something like that.
Yeah,
something they've been holding on to like a reel of in their like basement since like 1987.
Exactly. Well, because I've seen movies.
It's probably even older than that.
Because at first, like when I saw Grindhouse, I'm like, oh sweet, they just made that to look like 70s, and then I watched them. Then there's a couple 70s movies I came across. I'm like, oh, they fucking actually have that.
like coming attractions or
Yeah, the whatever.
feature presentation, and I want to say feature was spelled different or weird or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how was Tusk? Since did that play? The bad thing is because like I remember they said it first, like, oh yeah, it'll be everywhere, and it's like I'm like I know it won't be. I know it won't be. I don't want to think like that, but I just know horror movies are hard to sell to like every single like theater.
Unless it's a PG-13.
Yeah,
like,
unless it's like a
produced by
PG-13 Paranormal Activity or something like that.
Produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah, it's those ones will, but like lots of times horror movies are like it's like a 50-50 chance that they'll come. And I was like, lo and behold, of course it wasn't. And like the closest theater was 2 hours plus away.
Mm-hmm. Well, I won't spoil it because you'll probably still end up seeing it. I'm guessing.
Yeah, my goal is that we're supposed to make a trip down to Modesto on Tuesday, so to knock 2 stones out in one day, I'm gonna go see fucking Tusk.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you about it. I'm not gonna spoil everything because
I guess you can't totally spoil it for me because it's like it's one of those ones like there's gonna be small tidbits in there that are gonna be new. I expect, but it's like the core story. It's kind of like I know that part. I guess keep any of like the special twist or anything that he didn't explain on a podcast.
Yeah. Basically, I'll say this. For those of you who don't listen to our show a whole lot, you're just kind of coming in and out, or same thing with Smodcast, Kevin Smith's show, they pretty much like about a year from now back or so.
A year from now back.
Yeah, I can't fucking.
That sounded like we went to the future and then came back.
A year from now. There and back again, No, what was I going to say? Yeah, about a year back or so, Kevin Smith read this story that someone sent him for what they thought was an ad for, like, hey, I want someone to live with me. I have free room and board. All you got to do is you got to dress up like a walrus for 2 hours out of the day. I was marooned on an island for about 12 years. My best friend was a walrus. I miss him. So you just need to act like a walrus for 2 hours a day, and I won't charge you. You have to dress up like a walrus. I won't charge you for rent. Now, it ended up being a hoax revealed like about a week or two later. But Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier went on this huge rant and just kind of made up this story right on the spot. Like, what this guy's gonna do, he's gonna knock him out, he's gonna sew him into a fucking walrus suit, and they just kind of go off on this fucking ridiculously dark story.
Oh, and the best part too is they go for like an hour and 50 minutes, and it's just fantastic the whole way. And the whole point, you're actually just thinking it's a joke. You don't think much of it. They're like, oh yeah, we'll do this, and this is what the kids are into nowadays. We gotta make it fucking dark and shit. And then at the very end, the best part about it is Kevin Smith kind of goes, well, you know what? Fuck it. Sounds like a pretty good idea. You know what? Here. We'll just ask the audience. Either give hashtag walrus yes or hashtag walrus no. And lo and behold, everybody said, fuck it. That's a great idea. And then Kevin Smith, I remember a couple weeks later, he's like, oh, well, I started writing it. I don't know. Might not do anything with it. Might just be a creative project. And then he keeps kind of going on. And next thing you know, he's fucking shooting the movie.
So, and pretty much I'll say this, because the movie, and I'll tell for people who've heard that podcast, like you and me, I don't know how many people actually, because I went into this movie fully aware of it. Because if you look at the trailer and you did not listen to the podcast, because I've heard this movie from like concepts to him just talking about filming certain scenes. Mm-hmm. So I knew fully what I was in for. If you just kind of just watch that trailer, you're like, okay, there's some dark, weird, sinister shit. I'm not sure what exactly, because in the trailer he doesn't actually say, "I'm sewing you into this walrus suit made of human skin." He does not say that. It's just more like you see like there's operation tools, and he says like this guy wants to turn me into an animal or something, and they're just like some creepy imagery with scary music, like it sounds like walrus grunting, like it's kind of really creepy trailer. And so if you just saw that trailer, it would be like you kind of have an idea, but you would not really know that's solely what the movie's about. So going into this movie, because I went with my friend Grant, and he did not know anything about this movie at all. Mm-hmm. I said, you want to go see Kevin Smith's new horror film? He's like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. I offered to pay for the ticket because A, I owed him a few bucks. B, I was like, well, I really don't know how he's going to feel about this, and I'm going to feel bad if I drag him, so I'll just pay for his ticket because, Mm-hmm. So, and watching this movie, he's a pretty open guy. He likes a lot of different things, and I'll say this, he rarely ever swears, but a couple moments in that movie, I heard him mutter to himself, what the fuck, out loud. and because like this whole movie, he spells out. I'll say it's surprising how much he sticks to the podcast. I assumed the podcast was just a basic like.
It's a start. It's just
a skeletal structure for it. I'm surprised by how much he actually keeps in it, though. Like, I'm like, oh wow, he actually kept that in there. I thought he'd take that out. That being said, it's still a really good movie. It's still a horror film. If I had a DVD of it, I would probably put it in my horror category. It still is a comedy though, because
in my DVD collection I have a Kevin Smith section.
It would be in that, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be.
There's about 5 directors that have their own little selection in my house.
That's Kubrick, Kevin Smith. This isn't directors, but Arnold has his own section.
Yeah, Arnold has his own section.
Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. Who else?
And then I have an Oliver Stone collection, and that's mainly just because I have that big fat box set of all his movies. So I just was like, oh, okay, I'll just put it in the collection too. I think that's it. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Stanley Kubrick, because he's in a box set too. That's like the other main reason. And then Oliver Stone, and then my Schwarzenegger collection.
You could almost have.
And then I also have my 007 collection, I guess, too. But that's
you might as well start up a Clint Eastwood section.
I almost could, but like, I mean, because I guess because mostly 90% of his movies are all in the action section anyway, so they could just easily migrate. When I first organized my DVDs, I used to actually have them all in like weird little selections like that. Something that like if anybody else came over, they'd have no idea how to find anything.
OCD, yeah.
Yeah. But like it's like I knew where everything was, but then it was just like other than like a couple, like I just kind of my special collections, but that's about it. But carry on.
So it's still definitely, I mean, this still is a horror film, but it's definitely part comedy because by the time
I'd assume there'd be comedy mix. It'd be like a Red State because that's kind of how Red State is. It's a mix of action, horror, and comedy.
I would almost not even consider Red State a comedy. There's a few funny lines in it. But there's actually, this movie gets so weird and so out there, it's almost aware of how ridiculous it gets. And I don't really want to, some of the stuff I'm talking about, it's in the podcast, so I'm not spoiling it if you heard the podcast. But there was 1 or 2 parts where I was like, what the fuck? It actually went there? And it's not like that's not like a gross or shock value kind of thing, but it was one of those things. It's so ridiculous and silly. It's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. I mean, the concept alone of the walrus suit, because when there is the part when Michael Parks is sitting across from him and basically says to him, because first Michael Parks is like, he has Justin Long drugged up. And he's telling him like, oh, well, you were bitten by a spider and this and that. And Justin Long's like, what the fuck? He's easily kind of like, he's still kind of like, that doesn't make any sense. But he's kind of drugged up. So he doesn't really, some things he can just kind of believe like, well, the doctor took your phone. He accidentally stepped on it when this happened. And that's why yada, 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 So, and it's just very unsettling and very creepy to watch him saying these things because, he can't go nowhere. There's nothing he can do. And I should probably actually also say for people who have not seen the trailer or heard the podcast, basically Justin Long is a podcaster and he goes to Canada to interview. Well, first off, it's a parody there's a parody of the Star Wars kid, a guy called the Kill Bill kid who accidentally cuts his own leg off while trying to imitate Kill Bill stuff. And they're all laughing like, oh my God, I can't believe how fucking stupid this kid is. I'm going to go interview him in Canada. So they go to Canada to interview him and he actually killed himself. And he's all pissed off like this.
He hung himself with a fucking link cable.
No, they actually say that he killed himself with the Kill Bill sword. He actually killed himself with the Kill Bill sword. I flew all the way over there. This kid killed himself, selfish little cocksucker. So, he's like, I know it's shitty to say, and I know it's kind of mean to do that. I should be a little bit more apologetic, but I spent $500 on a ticket. Fuck, I'm pissed, So then that's when he comes across an ad from Michael Parks' character saying, yo, I got some stories to tell. I had an interesting life at sea. Here's my address. Come talk to me. And that's when he goes there. And that's when he gets drugged. And that's where, he slowly starts to, just put him into this walrus suit. Now, the movie doesn't focus a whole lot on gore. It doesn't focus a whole lot of him, the process of him being put into the walrus suit. There is like a little bit of gore, not a whole lot, but you don't have some drawn out scene with him like screaming, being like hacked away or sawed off. It's kind of like showed very quickly. The after product, though, when you actually see him in the walrus suit, I'm not really spoiling anything here. I mean, maybe if you went in the movie blind, you'd be going, oh my God, they actually went there. But if you heard Kevin Smith talk about this movie, he blatantly says, no, he goes into the walrus suit. When you actually see the walrus suit, it is fucked up looking.
Huh.
And it looks different than what I assumed, because what I assumed it would look like, I mean, it's basically a walrus suit made of human skin that's all kind of stitched together. You see there's kind of like patches of different skin all around him. I assume it looked a little different than I assumed it would, because a walrus kind of has the snout that comes up. I'm not really sure how to explain it, but this nose and this over lip that kind of like sticks out of his face.
Because it looks like Dave Crosby.
What?
It looks kind of like David Crosby.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's, I never thought of that. But yeah. But no, but it actually looks like in the movie, it's still somewhat, I was expecting that, and I expecting you'd see kind of like, like slits in the eyes of the walrus. So you'd see his eyes. So it was a little bit more like a suit. But no, it was more like, it was still kind of like a human face, but had like Tusk sticking out of the human face. But you still had like the skin wrapped over it. So you can't really tell so much it's Justin Long.
Huh,
but,
interesting.
But yeah, so it didn't really have that snout. Still had a human face, but had like the tusks sticking out and then like skin wrapped over it. So you really couldn't tell so much. And it's pretty damn unsettling in scenes. It's not so much like a horror film in the sense of it jump scares you or anything, or not even so much of an gore aspect. It's just unsettling. There's like, a part where, because he actually cuts out his tongue. They don't show that even. But he cuts out his tongue, so he can't even talk. All he can do is go, just make noises.
Mm-hmm.
And that itself is kind of creepy. And there's a part that's just like, well, what's a walrus? What kind of walrus doesn't know how to swim? And there's like a chain attached to his tail, to his little weird, like stitched up makeshift tail. He clicks a button, it pulls him into the water, and he's just flopping around, just trying to swim for dear life in this giant blubbery suit. So it's pretty, and you kind of like, it's almost kind of told in a sense of like, I feel like there's some major Tarantino inspiration here, because the movie's moving forward, yet we're getting flashbacks to stuff with his girlfriend, stuff with his friend Teddy, who's his podcast partner, who's played by the Sixth Sense guy, Haley Joel Osment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Johnny Depp is in the movie. They don't advertise it. He's not even credited as Johnny Depp. And if you listen to Smodcast, every so often they'll do, like, this takes a lot of little snippets from different Kevin Smith podcasts and puts them in here if you've been listening long enough. And there's a guy they read about, like this French Canadian detective named Guy Lapointe, or Guy Lapointe, something like that. Johnny Depp plays this character, and he is chewing up the fucking scenery whenever he plays this character. He just chews it up. And it's entertaining, but I'll say this, there's like two moments in this movie that kind of, I know that they're intentionally trying to be like tongue-in-cheek and over the top, saying, isn't this fucking weird and ridiculous? And you can even hear that when Kevin Smith talks about it in the podcast. Mm-hmm. But, and I'll wrap this up quickly because I realize, I'm just kind of rambling on. You didn't see the movie yet, but there's a part where...
Why don't you just fucking Pictionary the movie for me instead?
Well, I'm not spoiling. I'm trying to say as much as I can without spoiling it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's pretty much everything you're saying. I don't feel like I'm really, because it's like just by listening to the podcast. I think the only thing you could really spoil this movie for is if you didn't, like, if somebody had no idea. Which it would be interesting to go in this movie literally not watching or not listen to any Smodcast and just go straight into this. Like, I guess like Grant did.
Yeah, and that's what I told Grant. I said, Grant, I said to him, he's like, so what's this movie about? I'm like, you know what? I could tell you.
But it's better I don't.
You could probably just watch the movie and just figure it out as it goes along. Because I think you're probably be more effective. Says, okay, I'll take your word on that.
Is this a perfect first date movie?
This is by no means, unless your girlfriend's into some really twisted shit or she's got a weird sense of humor. This movie is made for people with a fucked up sense of humor. That's without a doubt. Because... but there is a part, though, when we first walked in there were two girls that were there for, like, I guess, set to the whole credits. As we walked out, these two girls looked at us and they just said, good luck with this. They just walked past us.
Well, it's kind of funny because, like, there's always movies I think of as, like, what not to watch on a first date. And then, like, I was thinking, like,
one of them.
Don't ever, like, if a girl comes over, don't ever show her Clockwork Orange, because then she'll have no idea what you're going to do to her
just
later.
Just pointing and laughing and, like, all this.
Look at, they beat that hobo up.
They're all going to rape that chick.
You know,
I just see someone looking at them, like, eyes wide open, laughing, looking at it.
You maybe Deliverance is another one.
Deliverance. 7.
Yeah, I don't think Seven's. I'm always seeing those movies where like they're just gonna be like, "This is what you're fucking into," like because it's literally because like the first time you show somebody like the first movie, they're gonna base all that off like, "Oh man, this guy must really really like this movie a lot."
A woman gets raped with a knife dildo, and Gwyneth Paltrow's head ends up in a box at the end.
I guess to me that doesn't seem nearly as like because it's like that's more just like a crime mystery movie. Generally, it's like it's not nearly as like.
Devil, maybe. I Saw the Devil.
Yeah, that'd be kind of a weird one. They're supposed to be remaking that movie. I saw an article on that online.
Like an American remake of I Saw the Devil?
Yeah, a stupid American version, what I always call them. Because for people who can't fucking read movies. It's just like, well, I was just like, as I've always said, and we said this before, unless it got cut out on another podcast, can't remember anymore nowadays. But it's like a remake or a localization or even a reboot. They never affect the original. No matter what, they'll never affect the original. It doesn't matter how bad it is, it never will. But there is always that thing, and I think it always bothers me with foreign movies, is you have these beautiful, well-made movies, and the only reason people won't fucking watch them is because they're like, I fucking hate reading. Fuck you. Make it American. Put Johnny Depp in there. That's right. You put Johnny Depp in there, I'll watch it. Put him and, put a... Let's see.
Is that who might be in
No,
I Saw the Devil? Because I was thinking that guy, is that guy like the Korean? I don't remember the actor's name, but I like him a lot. Is he like basically the Korean Johnny Depp? So I was wondering.
No, that just came to my mind. I think because you said it with Tusk, but just like there's that thing. It's just like literally there's only one tiny reason that stops people from watching these beautiful movies, and it's the language barrier.
Yeah, and if people sit down and just kind of watch the movie itself, a lot of times, because there's somebody who I knew who did not really want to see Battle Royale just because we were in a group of friends. Like, I don't really like reading my movies. I just want to watch the movie. I feel it's distracting. Then we just put on Battle Royale, and she really liked it by the end of it. So it's kind of one of those things. You just got to give it a chance sometimes.
I love that, like, Wes has that, like, test. Here's another first date test. Is you show a girl, like, Amelie, and if she doesn't like it or she doesn't like the reading of it, then you know she's not for you. If she complains about the reading, that's it. It was that, and then there was another movie. It was a black and
white. It was
or Casablanca. Yeah, it's like...
It was because it was black and white. It was just... If she doesn't like it because it's black and white, or she doesn't like it because there's reading,
she's not for you. I'm like, oh, that test really is like the great. That really will tell you a lot about somebody. That pretty much shows somebody's very closed-minded, not very open, and definitely not artsy whatsoever. And then 2, it kind of shows that somebody's not very intelligent. It's like it's an instant test. I love that thing. Makes me laugh every time.
I've used that test, and most people I've used it with Casablanca, and
Casablanca is a great one too because if somebody, I mean, like. And I'm not saying that somebody out there can't not like Casablanca, but if you say like you don't want to watch it because it's black and white, or you don't like it because it's black and white.
Well, I'll say this.
I guess Clerks could be another test too, because I remember somebody, every once in a while you meet somebody who's like, I don't really care to watch that movie because it's in black and white. You're like, what? But it's a movie about people talking. Who cares if it's in black and white? Like, what does that have to do with anything? I don't know. It reminds me of Woody Allen. I'm like, what's wrong with Woody Allen?
No, what I was going to say was there's actually, we're going back to, what was it? Well, actually going back to, like, I want to go back to Tusk just for a second because there's 1 or 2 more things I wanted to say about it. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1 or 2 parts that kind of take me out of the movie because they're almost too silly. Like, the Guy Lapointe character is so over the top. It almost feels like and that's fine.
Johnny Depp character now?
That's the Johnny Depp character. There's a part where he has a flashback, and I won't say what happens in the flashback, but he has a flashback. But the music they're playing throughout the whole flashback is this very stereotypical kind of like French accordion kind of thing you'd hear like in a Woody Allen movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not match the rest of the movie, so it just kind of takes you out for a second, and his character is really over the top, and the other guy he's talking to, which I won't say because it's kind of a spoiler, not a huge spoiler, but a little bit of a spoiler, is so over the top as well, and it just kind of like, it doesn't really match the rest of the movie. It doesn't kill it for you, but it almost doesn't really match the rest of the movie. So you're just kind of like, that's a little weird. And then like there's a part near the end, which is actually in the podcast. Like he actually kept that in there. That's ballsy enough. But it's one of those things. I still totally recommend the movie. I don't know if I like it more than Red State, but I still, if you like, I mean, that being said though, it's also one of those movies that's just like so fucking weird I don't know how many people I can really recommend it to. I know I'd like it. I know you'd like it. I know Laura would like it.
It's a movie
Wes would
person
like
movies.
it. Yeah, Wes would like it, but I really don't know how many other people I could really recommend this to because it's so fucking weird. And the thing is,
well, that's almost even how Red State sort of is too. You can't just show that movie to anybody.
Yeah, like even I was talking to like after the movie, Grant and I were talking, and Grant even said, "Look, there are parts of that movie because
look, Ryan, I know you're my friend and all, but I think this is where we part ways."
Yeah, almost. No. He was pretty cool, but he said like that I was not expecting that movie to go there at all. I was not expecting to go there. When he first said he wanted to turn him into a walrus, I was like, wait, what? And then when he actually saw him in the walrus suit, I was like, they actually fucking did it. So,
well, it's funny because when you kind of like sometimes like I know that I a lot of times forget this is that you realize that like most people out there haven't seen just a copious amount of videos and movies and whatnot. You know, the average Joe, you know, they watch their blockbusters, they watch a handful of maybe art pictures at some point in time, but like they're not like they don't have this grand knowledge of just like what is possible in cinema, so they can just be mind blown by some of these movies.
Well, on top of that, I also think it's one of those things like even like let's say Kevin Smith said, "I'm working on this movie. It's called Tusk. It's a horror film," and he did not talk on the podcast, and he just showed that trailer, and that's all there was to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we went into this movie, we would probably be pretty shocked too.
Yeah, I think that might be true too. Is well, it's like
because we had a year to prepare for
I think what I'd be more shocked is like, wow, this came from Kevin Smith.
Well, there are moments. This actually feels more like it's weird.
Does it feel more Kevin Smith than Red State?
It's half and half. Half of it feels kind of like Red State, but Red State. Let me put it this way: Red State did not feel, and this is going to sound totally like artsy and fucking pretentious, but Red State didn't really feel so much. And I like that movie. It didn't really feel so much kind of like a movie in parts because there's very little music in it. There's kind of heavy
tones.
Any
music unless it's like on the radio or something in that movie.
I want to say the part when
because I know that's the one thing he's always kind of pride himself. He's like, I made a whole movie with no soundtrack.
I want to say Melissa Leo has like the part when she dies. There's some like sad kind of ominous music a little bit. But I
don't think there is. I don't think there's any soundtrack music in that because I know because Kevin Smith mentioned that a bunch of times.
He mentioned it, but I've seen that movie a lot. I want to say the part like not really, maybe just ominous tones. Then there's the part when like Michael Parks is losing his shit, and he's kind of like, "Judgment's coming! Shoot me! Shoot me!" And they have the horn. That's kind of in place of music to an extent.
The horn. Yeah, I'd say it's like that. That's kind of like.
And there's some like transitional music. Like there's a part when music picks up in one scene, then it carries on next scene. They're riding the car, radio's playing, something kind of like that. So there's very little music, and for other reasons, it doesn't really seem like Red State. Even though I find that movie entertaining, it's almost trying to be so bleak and so grounded in reality. That's why it doesn't really feel so much like a Kevin Smith movie. You know what I mean?
Well, really, Red State's one of those movies. If you were shown that movie and nobody told you it was a Kevin Smith movie, I would have never guessed. I would never, because it doesn't have one bit of feeling like, oh, this feels like a Kevin Smith movie. You know what I mean? There's not a single giveaway in it. And that's what I think actually makes it just like, because right there it shows it's like, it's kind of like, Kevin Smith always doubts his movie making ability. That movie right there goes, see, we knew you had it in you the whole time. Don't.
And this movie's a little bit more of kind of like it's kind of like a cross between Red State as well as a Kevin Smith movie. It's a cross between the two, I'd say, because even when he's not like, Jesus Christ, you're downing that monster like it's crack right there.
I just want to make sure I got everything out of it.
Okay.
I leave no drop behind.
Yeah, you don't want to. You're conserving up there. You can't. Yeah. No, but you don't want to be wasteful.
Yeah, exactly.
But no. What's I gonna say? But it's kind of like a cross between a Kevin Smith movie, what we'd think of as a Kevin Smith movie, as well as Red State. Mm-hmm. Because it has some darker, heavier elements and kind of like these long, lingering scenes that are just very unsettling. Because Red State, it's not so much there is violence in it, but it's not so much gore and violence as it is just unsettling, and that's what this is. But the comedy in this, it's not even just kind of like just faint dark comedy. It's also just kind of like conversations you would hear like in a Kevin Smith podcast or in a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
Of just kind of like back and forth between characters when he's not being like tortured or sewed up, or when they're not like pouring their hearts out and like, I'm so worried he's gonna die or whatever. It actually is funny conversations that you would hear in a comedy. There's too many funny things in this movie for it not to be part comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine this is what Krampus is probably going to be like.
Mm-hmm. And then the Yoga Hosers will be sort of similar, but it sounds more kind of like adventure horror. Even though he said in that one of the last podcasts, he said he's like, it seems like it's going to be like that, but it's actually way darker than it really is. Which
I'm looking forward, even though it's kind of a PG-13 like movie, I'm still looking forward to Yoga Hosers. I'm
curious.
Know what it
sort of sounds like to me, and like this goes back to many podcasts when I told you about that movie, Night of the Comet. Remember that one I told you about where the zombies come?
Yeah,
and the teenager. Whenever I hear him talk about it, that sort of like reminds me kind of like the vein that it's going to be kind of in, just modern, darker, and more Kevin Smith like. Yeah. But like that's what it kind of reminds me of when I hear it, because that movie's PG-13. But like if nobody told you it was PG-13, you'd go, oh, it seems like it's borderline R.
Mm-hmm. And the way they actually kind of find a way to get comedy still in this movie, even when things do get really fucked up, is they have flashbacks. Because the movie's kind of progressively moving forward. Every once in a while, they'll cut back to Haley Joel Osment and Genesis Rodriguez, who are looking for Justin Long. But every so often, though, they'll also have flashbacks to him before he was in the walrus suit. And we learn a little bit more about him. As the movie goes on, we find out he's a little bit more of an asshole than we thought. Also, though, that's where a lot of the comedy comes from, just for a little levity. So
yeah, just to change the pace.
Huh. Yeah, so if you like Kevin Smith movies, I'm going to say give this a shot.
The only downfall is that it might not be playing in your town, because it seems like it's pretty far. When I was looking online, it was like, oh, there in Northern California, there's all of like 3 places to see it. So
believe me, the walrus suit is fucked up. But by the third act, the movie just says, fuck it. This movie's weird. This movie's wacky. It's still kind of fucked up, but it's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek when you get to the third act. But if you heard the podcast, you kind of know what's going there. So
yeah, make the trip out. If you have to drive a couple hours, like I'm going to probably have to do, or I know I'm going to do, I think that's the thing to do. Yeah, I was trying to look for like a video on demand or something, because I was like, fuck, I'm surprised drive 2 hours. But then it was like, since I was already going down to Modesto, I was like, oh, okay, well whenever I go somewhere, it's like, how many things can I get done at once?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly, it's like, oh, fuck, we're going down there, then I'm going by the Brendan. Good old Brendan. That place never lets me down. Mm-hmm. And I tell you about last time I was there, like when it's funny, I was at X-Fest, and what was I doing? I was at the fucking movie theater.
Yeah. Well, a bunch of bands you didn't care about were starting to play. So
yeah. Well, what's mainly too is like there was nowhere to fucking sit. It was like, I'm old. I need a place to sit. I'm not gonna sit on fucking concrete for 12 hours.
In my 26 years,
I'm just too old, and I need my air conditioning and my soft movie chairs and the sticky floor. Which I really hope that it's somebody that spilled a soda, not somebody that was jerking off during the Ninja Turtles.
Just some guy like, Michelangelo.
Mikey! Just like explodes, just hit some kid in the back of the head. Cowabunga! Pizza time!
Let's go. We're only 20 minutes into the movie. Yeah, well, I'm done. Let's go.
But I tell you, the Brennan Theater, like, they dropped their prices, so it's $6 to fucking see a movie. And then it's $8 to see it at nighttime. So $6 for matinee, $8 for nighttime. I'm like, get the fuck out. Everybody's got to be doing that.
You just got to find it, because that place could almost be kind of like a maze.
There's like 18 cinemas in there. I bet you anything Tusk will be in that one that we always get stuck in. That one at the far end of the hall that's almost like the personal showroom theater that there's never anybody else in there.
Is it kind of like the small, kind of jerk-off theater from Taxi Driver?
It pretty much is. It's the one that we saw such classics as Legend of Chun-Li. Yeah. And fucking Christopher Walken and what was the other movie we drove down there to see? I'm drawing a blank now. The movie we said was best movie of the year 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was actually Seven Psychopaths.
Seven Psychopaths.
I love Seven Psychopaths.
That tiny theater that we always get put in. I bet you anything will be in that one.
It probably will be, and that's almost kind of like whenever I go to Brendan Theater, it almost is a little bit of this kind of like, I'm expecting I'm going to run into David Bowie in the Labyrinth outfit at some point, because that place is such a fucking maze,
there's so many cinemas.
A bunch of puppets are going to come out of nowhere and start singing.
It's weird, because every time I went to the Brendan before, I was always in that tiny little theater, so I just assumed they were all like that. And one time I went and saw some blockbuster or summer blockbuster thing, thing was fucking humongous. It was like whatever was like the main 1 or 2 showrooms. I mean, the screen was like 10 times the size of that little showroom we were at.
Well, I think they're probably like, oh, well, you're not getting as much bang for your buck in a movie called Seven Psychopaths, and no one gives a fuck about Legend of Chun-Li.
Except for these two fucks that drove down here to see a 9 o'clock showing.
With their optimism and $7 in hand. I remember the guy, when we went actually said Legend of Chun-Li, the guy kind of double take like, oh, you sure?
I mean, I work at a movie theater. I know this stuff. I've seen them all. You sure you want to go to this? Yeah, we drove 2 hours. Fuck you. We want to see this.
I can't technically say or deter you, but I just want to ask to make sure. Are you sure?
Ask yourselves that. And we're like, fuck, we drove 2 hours. Fuck you. Give us the ticket. And he's like, okay, don't say I didn't warn you. I don't know what that movie's playing at the time. I was going to say, like, you can go see this, but...
He just pulls out his USB Noose once we leave. Like, yep.
Like,
I tried to warn him.
Link cable time is now. I wonder if anybody's ever walked up to like a movie theater, like a ticket booth, and just all of a sudden looked inside and was like, oh, fuck, that guy just hung himself.
That's probably happened at some point.
So somebody's had it working, you know, even though, like, is a movie theater ticket booth really, like, the worst job out there that it's worth hanging yourself over? I mean, maybe the movie theater's not your, like, reason for hanging yourself, but if that's the place you chose.
Yeah, because
in 100 years of cinema, somebody's had to do that.
Or just kind of like, you know what? My life is kind of shitty right now. Not because I work at a movie theater, but just for whatever other reason, my life's kind of shitty. I just got to wait for the opportune moment. And it's like the opening of some big Disney movie. Some kid, there's a big long line just waiting for the right moment. There's a big long line of like parents with their kids.
Some like, dad just sort of like, did he fucking die in there? Come on, look at this line. Hurry the fuck up.
Or as soon as like they all kind of they stand in view, the guy just swiftly brings a 45 to his neck, blows up. All the kids scream, "This will be worth it!" Bam!
Then the guy just looks left, looks right. Kids fucking screaming. He goes like, "Does this mean we get him for free? My children had to witness this. Now you're gonna give me a free ticket."
We deserve a free. Everyone here deserves a free ticket for Frozen for this fucker blowing his brains out in front of our children. This guy literally let it go. Literally, he let it go.
All over the window, and it was not like he cummed all over it. I'm not too sure which one's more disturbing for my 5-year-old daughter, but watching a guy blow his load or blow his brains. Maybe he's doing both.
Just some fucking guy, just
fucking jerking off at the same time. Wrestling is about to go, and then he just takes a gun, blows both directions.
Just the double whammy. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it
go. That song is actually that Eddie Vedder.
I know he sang that song. I'm assuming he sang it for like his daughter or.
Does he
have a daughter? I'm not too sure.
I don't know. That song actually kind of helps me. I'm not gonna lie. I got a little confession time right here.
Do you get in the shower and just turn on Eddie Vedder's version and just go, let it go, let it go.
Almost. No, it's not that exactly. I ain't gonna lie. I'm one of those guys. If I have trouble pissing in public, and if I go to urinal,
Eddie Vedder.
In my head, yeah, if I go to a urinal, I just get shy bladder syndrome.
That guy on the waiting.
Kinda. I just get shy bladder syndrome up until. I'm not sure if everybody has it. I call it my piss fairy. It happens to be Eddie Vedder singing "Let It Go." I just imagine Eddie Vedder singing "Let It Go," and it works every time now.
Do you have that one where like somebody you're like at the urinal and you're about to go, and then some guy like walks up and then starts having a conversation with you? Does that just put it on hold? Like, man, I don't gotta go now.
I can't. Yeah. It's like that's happened to me once or twice.
He starts looking you up and down and whatnot, being like, So which movie you seeing here tonight?
No, it wasn't that. There's literally this one time I was actually, when I was dating this girl in Oregon, it was like, what was it? I want to say it was around Thanksgiving time, and it was like the mall, because the mall was pretty busy, and I just had to use the restroom real quick. And when I go in there, and I'm just standing there, I'm going to the bathroom. This guy literally walks up, stands next to me, and just starts. His first words were actually "giggity goo," like that, like fucking Quagmire. How's it going, man? I'm like, doing good. Like, all right, I'm right on. Any shopping getting done? You know, I'm just like, I'm doing good. You know, just kind of like going, just stand there. I'm not even listening if the guy's actually going. I just can't get going. I'm just like, okay, all right. Actually, I'm like, and I just go in the bathroom stall and just kind of wait for the guy to leave.
You wait for the guy's head to slide up very slowly, like, giggity goo.
Just like stops at his eyes and he goes back down.
And then his head somehow, some way comes underneath. He's all like, giggity goo, giggity, giggity.
Almost, yeah. And then later,
and then there's the fucking glory hole, and you just see a dick come through. Giggity goo.
No, then what happens
Would
that
be the last time you ever go to that restroom?
Well, 20 minutes later, we're just walking through the mall. And I passed the guy, and it's a long distance relationship, so there's few people I actually know in this whole.
But now you've made a friend.
In this whole radius, the guy was, "Hey man, what's up?" Just he walks by, and she turns and looks at me. She's like, "You know that guy?" Like, "Yeah, we met in the restroom." I didn't even really put that sentence together. I said, "Yeah, we met in the restroom." And she kind of looks at me, and I'm like,
"He was the guy on the other side of the glory hole."
This was the last time we ever saw each other.
It's always really weird, like when you're like, I've had the problem too where you're at a urinal, and especially if it's kind of a crowded one, and then the guy's next to you just starts having a fucking conversation with you, like an in-depth one, like like telling you his life story and shit.
Like, yeah, my hand's on my dick right now.
He's like, yeah, so is mine. Pretty cool, right? It's like we got something in common. Let's sword fight. Yeah. Look, I painted mine so it looks like Mace Windu's lightsaber.
No, like, so if I ever have that problem, I just kind of block everything else out and just imagine Eddie Vedder just singing Let It Go, and it works. Or just like a little pixie of Eddie Vedder just lands on my shoulder singing, let it go, can't hold it back anymore.
Oh, good old Eddie. Eddie
Vedder.
King of the Wild Frontier.
Just re-sing just like the Davy Crockett song, just as Eddie Vedder. Fuck, I do that. I download that. I pay $1 for that on iTunes or Amazon.
Yeah, something like that. Sort of like Eddie Vedder like music. Did Tom Morello ever release another Night Watchman album, or has he released any like album known to mankind in like the last like couple years?
He's been, as far as I know, Tom Morello. I mean, I haven't really kept up to date so much. He's been doing just like little appearances on other people's stuff. Like he's been playing.
He was on the Bruce Springsteen. I guess that's close enough.
And then, unfortunately, and I went and looked it up just for the sake of looking it up. I was curious. I was fucking curious. He did a track with Linkin Park on one of their new albums. And
I want to say he's done that before too, because every once in a while there'll be certain things that's like, oh, special guest on guitar, Tom Morello.
And it was Linkin Park, so I'm like, I listened to it, like it wasn't really, it was so electric, I really couldn't really pinpoint where Tom Morello was on the album, or what solo was his, and the song really wasn't that good anyway. And even like,
it's not Tom's fault though. We got to put that out there.
It's not Tom's fault. I want to say Tom was phoning in. He's using that money for like, saving the rainforest and all that kind of shit, and doing good things. But I'll say this though, even though I do love Tom Morello every so often when he just kind of comes in and just does a riff or something, there's still some, he did one for a Macy Gray song on the Spider-Man soundtrack, which that seemed kind of like, whatever. That's not your best work, but it's not really, you're with Macy Gray, she's gonna hold you down.
Yeah, that's just like I count that necessarily the same.
I'm not gonna be one of those people who like he totally fucking sold out. Just like no, he's trying something different, and it doesn't sound good to my ears, but most of his stuff's better than worse.
Yeah, and that one's like a little bit different. I was just wondering if he's released any of his like kind of like own stuff, and that Bruce Springsteen one's I guess the closest thing.
He has a cover. I don't know how old it is by this point. But he has a Bob Dylan cover of Blind Willie McTell when they came out with that huge like 3-disc set of people covering Bob Dylan songs.
Ew.
And that's a really good one. And Springsteen aside, I really don't. And that Linkin Park track, I really don't know what Tom Morello has really been up to. But sometimes Spy doesn't upload everything. They just get a handful of things,
Yeah, I just took a quick look, and there's nothing on there new.
Oh.
Too bad. And it'd be nice if he did another like comic book too, because I liked Orchid so much.
He's probably just been doing a lot of guest work.
I'm not saying he's just like sitting there. He's like, yeah, come on, Tom, why don't you make something? But it's just one of those ones like he was doing so good making all these Night Watchman albums that I thought that You know, because
One-
yeah, that Worldwide Rebel song that came out. Jesus Christ, that came out in 2011. We did a fucking podcast on that one.
Yeah. Oh wow, really? That was 2011. It must have been like in January or something. Not January, but like probably like in December or something.
Yeah,
like
it might. I think it might have came out a little bit. Because I remember we did the podcast like a couple months like later after it. Because we did it like that album came out and then like
Well, it was Tom Morello.
because that came out like the same time Orchid did. Like
It was Tom Morello. Like we talked about Tom Morello primarily that whole podcast.
yeah, it was like a mix of like It was because like the first 6 issues of Orchid I think were out by that point, or the first book came out, and then yeah, then was like Worldwide Rebel Songs just came out like maybe a month or 2 before that.
I don't want. We've been around that long. Oh my god.
I know it's kind of interesting.
No, we've been here. I guess this podcast is over 2 years old by now. I remember 1 year. By 1 year old, we're like, oh my god, it's our 1
So
year.
amazing! We got fucking Soda Shacks, or maybe that was a different. Maybe that was the second. Fuck, that might have been the second
That
year.
was our first. That was. I want to say that was our first year, and then
We celebrated Soda Shacks.
Yeah, then this year just kind of slid by. Like New Year. Oh fuck it.
Okay, whatever, fuck it.
Right,
But the one thing I can say, though, is we are one of the few podcasts that have continued to go on that's not a celebrity podcast. Because most people I notice, they start their podcast, and then, because I watch it on Podomatic, you know, they start it, you know, they maybe go for 6 months, sometimes not even that long, maybe to a year, and then you just notice they're like, oh, the last episode they released was in January? Well, I guess that means they're over with.
Well, not to suck our own dicks. I guess we're just gonna keep
yeah.
it up.
I guess we're better than everybody else. It's not a celebrity.
I don't want to pat ourselves on the back too much, but
Yeah.
we're just that good, I guess. You know.
I guess we're just good enough with staying with it, you know. Fuck
Yeah.
them.
No, I don't want to. Yeah, no, well, I was a little down. Well, I mean, I was a little down. I haven't really made any form to contact them, and I doubt they listen to the show. But they maybe even really know about us. But like Two Average Dicks, I was really down to see they stop. But apparently Robbie is still going to keep on doing his own show, so that's still going to continue in some capacity. But I was a little down, like, oh man, I really missed that show. Oh wow.
It's always kind of a bummer when lots of those shows kind of give out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because really, like, recently, since Kevin Smith's been working on all these movies, like, that gave me time to go explore a lot of other people's podcasts that I just didn't have time for. I had to fill in that Kevin void.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, you know, there hasn't been a Fat Man on Batman since July 3rd. And the reason I know this is because that's what it says the last time you downloaded one when I put my list. And, you know, and then every once in a while you get a Smodcast, and every once in a while you get a Hollywood Babylon. And then apparently Jay and Silent Bob Gets Old is supposed to come back. I saw a tweet from Jason Mewes. And then,
He was actually one of the producers on Tusk, I want to say real quick.
yeah. I feel like, yeah, he's kind of just like, he's always given sort of a job to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it always sounds, makes it feel like it's like, oh, here, Jason, you need a job here. It keeps you busy. I want to see just...
Stay away from that heroin now.
You know, even this sounds like, because I'm not too sure if Kevin Smith wants to do this, but even if Jay and Silent Bob, because I feel like those one characters, like, even if they were just literally standing in the background and they had 2 lines, I think that'd just be kind of cool to see, like in like something like Tusk. Now, Red State, I feel like that would take away from the seriousness of the movie. But in Tusk, I feel like when you kind of describe the comedy, I'm like, Jay and Silent Bob could just be in the background for like one scene, you know, why not?
I could actually see this movie because he wants them to create the True North horror trilogy, which is just 3 horror films set in Canada. Mm-hmm. I could actually see him potentially, because the 2 girls from Yoga Hosers, one of which is played by his daughter, the other played by Johnny Depp's daughter. Mm-hmm. The 2 girls work in the convenience store. I could actually see, because the whole movie, Justin Long has like this really tacky looking kind of like 7-Eleven type of like refillable soda type thing.
Uh-huh.
Soda cup. And that movie's nearly in every shot with him. Even when he's in the walrus, you see it kind of floating like in the water next to him or something like that.
Kind of like the new movies.
Kinda. And I'm wondering, I'm guessing that probably that logo or maybe that cup or something, we'll probably see it in like upcoming this new trilogy. And we're definitely going to see, he said Guy Lapointe is definitely going to be in it as well.
Huh. So yeah, maybe like, I don't care. If he has a convenience store, why not have Jay and Silent Bob just fucking standing outside? As I said, all it has to do, just make it one little scene, make it like a Chasing Amy thing, like they're not there really the whole movie, they just get that one little thing and that's it. I just think that'd be kind of cool.
He said before he said I'm going back to making movies, he said, like, this is back when he was just saying, I'm just going to make Hit Somebody and then Clerks 3 and then I'm done.
And then I'm going to take this link cable and just call it a day.
No, he said, like, I want to say it was Joe Rogan. He said, like, I mean, I guess if worse comes to worse and I really do need some money, I can go like, hey, Silent Bob, it looks like we got to go try and save a monkey again, you know? So just if worse comes to worse, I'll be making Jay and Silent Bob, a whole trilogy, just Jay and Silent Bob shit, you know, but.
Yeah.
But for now, though, I'm gonna just try and do this and try. And I'm glad he's going back to making movies. I don't know how long he's gonna keep doing it because it seems like he says like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this one more movie. Actually, I'm gonna make this one more. By this point, he has
5 movies in the can, pretty much.
Well, he just did
in
Tusk.
the roster. Let's say that.
Let's just take Tusk out of it now. What he has left.
He's got 4.
He has Krampus. He has
Yoga Hosers.
Yoga Hosers. He has Moose Jaws.
And then Clerks 3.
And then possibly, and then it, like this, I would count this because he's still directing it. Hit Somebody, which is going to be a mini series. I bet it's going to go to AMC. And then he hasn't said this, but I saw on IMDb. There's that giant Jesus thing.
Oh, yeah.
At one point in time, he said he was going to make it a play, but on IMDb, the giant Jesus attacking the city, he said an animated movie. So,
sweet.
I would like to see.
You know what I'm still waiting for is when the fuck is Jay and Silent Bob Super Groovy Cartoon Movie supposed to come out on DVD?
It's available for download, but
I saw that. I'm like, well, that's a nice start, but can we get the physical copy for?
Yeah, I've been kind of waiting on that too.
I know. I remember I was just like, what the fuck? And then I think Kevin Smith said something on one of the podcasts. He's like, oh yeah, probably because I asked him like a couple times online, like, oh, it's like, when's that coming out? Like on DVD?
Smodcast or something. I don't see it appeared in Target.
Here it is. It comes out September 23rd.
Awesome.
So that's right around the corner.
Oh, why?
For some reason, it's $40 on Amazon, but a lot of times Amazon will do this thing where it's like, that's the price, and then the day right before it comes out, it'll drop to like its regular price.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because the video on demand thing, it's like, oh, well, if you release that at the same time, that's cool. Or if like the video on demand thing came out when you're still doing I guess he was still doing the tour, but that's always one of those ones like, oh, well, I can watch it, but it's like, I'm not paying $20 for like a fucking download.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
If it was like $2, then I probably would go, oh sure, why not? But I'm not. Yeah, it's just one of those ones like.
I mean, I think the most I'll pay, because I want to say like you could have a digital rent that you could watch. You could have the movie for like I think 24 hours and like you pay $8 for it or something. Like okay, maybe if I really want to see the movie. And
I'll say this: if it was
kind of far away.
Tusk was like that, I would do that right now. Like that's one of the few ones that I would pay. I'd pay even $10 just to like rent it to watch it, at home. But for something like it's like. When I just kind of want to own it and I've already seen it, it's just kind of like, okay, I'd like can I just get the physical copy, please?
Yeah, or if it's like, I almost digitally rented Snowpiercer because I didn't assume it was going to be in any theater near me, but then I was like, oh shit, it's playing in like 2 theaters down the road, so I just hopped right on the 38, headed down to the Metreon and just saw it,
Well, sweet. Well, at least that is finally coming out. Because, yeah, I was just kind of wondering. I was just like... That's been a long... I mean, we saw that.
I just assumed it was going to be a digital download. I just assumed that.
Oh, you didn't think there was going to be a physical copy of it at some point?
Because it's been so damn long. It's been 2 years. It feels like it's been 2 years. At least a year. At least a year.
I think
Iron Man 3 came out the week before or after. So...
Yeah, it's at least... Yeah, that's definitely true. It's at least been a year. But it's just one of those ones. It's kind of like... Just, yeah... It was just like, come on, release it. I mean, how hard is it? I mean, it's not like it's I don't even know what the wait is exactly. That's just a long time to wait. That's all I have to say. But
it's a year plus at least.
Glad it's coming out.
I can almost I can almost date what year things were by the summer blockbusters, which is kind of sad, really. That's how my mental calendar works. But yeah,
movies is like my gauge.
2007, Spider-Man 3, 2008, Dark Knight. And these aren't Dark Knight definitely, but these aren't all favorite movies. These are just movies that stood out. 2007, favorite movie, probably Grindhouse. 2008, Dark Knight. 2009, I want to say that was you can almost grade it just by, I want to say that was not a favorite movie, but I guess Transformers 2, 2010, Inception, 2011, you had now I'm drawing a blank. 2011, Thor and Captain America. 2012, Dark Knight Rises and then Avengers. 2013, Iron Man 3. I'm just going off big summer blockbusters.
2014, Guardians of the Galaxy, and
yep. These aren't not saying these are all my favorite movies. I just can almost grade it. I can always just remember, oh yeah, that's what that year was. That movie came out. So
exactly.
Kind of sad when that's how you grade it, but whatever.
I don't think it's sad. It's just
not great or trick you drive with somehow.
Yeah. But yeah.
I might as well just get out the USB news. Yeah.
Fuck, give me the link cable.
Yeah.
I remember like that cable though is like really that thing. I mean, there was a couple games you could play for Game Boy when that came out, but
Let's
it
see.
really had no purpose until Pokemon really came by. There was like a race car game you could play like your buddy with, and it was just like,
I want to say Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat.
yeah, maybe you could, but it just always felt so weird to like it's like Street Fighter on Game Boy. I mean, I at the time I guess it's one of those ones like you'd be so excited to have. You're like, oh my god, I can play Street Fighter on the go, so fucking awesome.
And that was also a time when like handhelds were still kind of like the dumbed down, simplified version, but you're just so happy like it's in my hand, I can play it, you know.
There are some games though for like, because when I think of the old Ninja Gaiden games, I actually think the best Ninja Gaiden version is the one that's on Game Boy. Still to this day, because I went back and played it. I think it's better than the 3 regular Nintendo ones. I think it's better than the Sega Genesis one and even the Game Gear one. Sounds weird, but there's some of them just kind of pull off really, good.
Most original Game Boy games are really hard to go back and play now. I mean, Mario Land 1 and 2 are still pretty good.
Well, even
ports of Mario, like old like Mario ports are fine.
The only old one there's like the Mario Brothers Deluxe one.
Yeah, that, and then
that's
like some Metroid games that like Metroid 2. A lot of people seem to like. I haven't really played it.
That one. I'll tell you this because I've kind of gone back and played some Game Boy games, somewhat, and it's like I played Metroid 2, and it's just like it's one of those ones like it's more like you look at some of those games going, okay, I can just see where this is a stepping stone, but I cannot imagine seriously sitting down and being like, okay, I'm just gonna play, unless you're doing it to beat it just to beat it. I can't imagine playing it just be like, oh, I just want to have fun and just go through the whole game. Even I was playing because I got a free download from Club Nintendo for Super Mario Land 2, and I was playing that, and even that game in itself too, it does feel like, I mean, I can still play it a bit, but it does still feel pretty old. I don't know if I could seriously sit down and beat the whole game.
Super Mario Land 2 or Super Mario Land 1?
Super Mario Land 2, strangely enough. In that game,
Land is just kind of like, it's more just like nostalgia. It's almost kind of going back and playing like, I mean, it's not as good as Mario 1, but it's still a fun game. 2, I remember being like almost kind of like Mario World, like Super Mario Brothers World level, like the Game Boy equivalent. Not as good as that, but almost to that level.
I still think of it being kind of close to that.
I miss the rabbit ears.
But yeah, it's got some neat items in it that are different, and it's like you could still play it. I don't know. I guess that's one of those ones too. Sometimes kind of like playing black and white games is kind of it's because black and white game it's not like as much like a movie. It's like I don't know. It's just there's something about it. It's like if that's all I had and I was like on an airplane, hell yeah, I'd play the fuck out of that game. But like
all these Mario remakes, they're all these like just Mario kind of like same old 2D Mario games. Might as well just do like a weird one like that. Just do like an up-res version of Mario Land 2.
Well, that's one of the coolest remakes I think is when I see them remake Game Boy games. Because on my Wii, I have a download of they remade the first Castlevania game on the Game Boy, and it's just like unless you really play the game, you can't really tell like it just seems like a completely different game. But that right there, I think is fucking awesome. I would love to see if they went back and actually remade things like Mario Land 2. I'd like to see Metroid 2 remade as well, and then another game that'd actually be pretty sweet to be remade is Link's Awakening.
A lot of people like Link's Awakening. That was another one of the big ones.
That's one of the few ones. I think I could go back and play that one, but as long as I get the colored version of it.
And as long as they take up the ending, he went out to sea and never came back. Yeah. Guess he fucking died.
Yeah, fuck. That's what happens when you make your own raft and think you can do it and get back to Hyrule.
Chosen one, my fucking ass. Stupid fucking kid. Miyamoto out.
What they should do is they should make a sequel to Link's Awakening where it's like the Odyssey, but with Link. Like he's literally on this raft for like 20 years trying to get back to Hyrule.
Brought it back to Odyssey.
I wonder, did that part get cut out of our last episode, the Odyssey part?
That wasn't the last episode, but I know we talked about Odyssey and it actually did stick.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that because I like that. But yeah, think about that. Like Link's Awakening, and it's just like his 20-year voyage back to Hyrule.
He just ended up killing, it was all the kids from the Kariko village that were on the boat with them. He just ended up murdering them all.
Because one kid fucking opened the bag of wind, right before they got to Hyrule.
Navi is the dog waiting on the port. As soon as he goes to pet it, she just, fades away, just disintegrates to nothing. Ganondorf has moved into Zelda's house.
I'm the main suitor here. I guess
How pissed off would you be after all those years being like, I'm back for my woman? Like, yeah, well, we ain't going nowhere, man. You know, just be like, what was it? Like, you have to prove by shooting through, like, what was it? Like a row of axes or something like that. There's like a row of axes and there's like a slit or a hole in the axes. You had to get it just right to hit
so
something.
just shoot straight through, yeah. Well, just like you get back
Which
home
was
and then you just realize there's literally about 30 plus fucking freeloaders that have been sitting at your house for 20 fucking years, 20 plus years because of goddamn Troy, and 20 plus years of fucking goddamn like on that island.
And I'm guessing in the original version, maybe I'm wrong in the original version just because times are different, but I'm guessing they probably changed it for the made-for-TV movie and all that, but they probably weren't just like, we're waiting to prove ourselves for her hand in marriage. They probably just took in and just probably fucking raped her right there in the original version, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the original book, but
I'm just guessing.
But you know,
maybe,
like really, it's like what's like.
I'm not saying I want that. I'm just guessing, just given the times and how fucking dark. I mean, Zeus turned into a bull and raped a chick, so
yeah.
how?
Well, it's one of those ones you think about. Like the only person to like guard Odysseus' wife was like, I think his son's there. It's like, yeah, they probably fucked him too. They're probably like everybody was like gang banging the wife, and then all of a sudden they're like, man, there's just not enough to go around. Look at that cute little 18-year-old boy. Let's go fuck him. I'm gonna fuck the dog too.
Oh, this just took a very dark.
And fucking Odysseus comes back and he just sees just like gang rape going on the whole time. And there's a line, there's like a fucking butt fucking train going down there. Just everybody's just fucking each other. It's just like, you know, they're eating the food all at the same time. Like, oh. Well, and he just sees Red, just starts chopping people's heads off.
They're eating like a bowl of grapes. There's a Post-it note on it, like Odysseus' "Don't touch." Like he's been waiting for those. He's been waiting to get back to those.
And then there's a fucking IOU note next to
it. Then he just like, I just see him just kind of like, you know, pulling his sword out, and then just like some like, you know, just some like death metal song starts playing. He just runs. Or no, not even that. Just like be like Alice Cooper. No more, Mr. Nice Guy. Just in slow motion, just like decapitate
everywhere.
No more, Mr. Please.
That's what they should.
No, I would be. I don't blame him. He took it well. He didn't just like, because what was it? He had to prove it was him just by shooting through the thing. Like, I got a better idea. How about, you know, I don't kill everybody in this room. How about we go with that? You know. Yeah. He's Odysseus, you know he fucking could.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. He fucking survived 30 years.
He fought a Hydra. He's like the one guy of 30 people that survived, you know?
He survived Troy.
Mm-hmm. So, did you ever see, there's like the Simpsons episode where they actually make fun of that. And,
yeah, I remember that one.
I remember there's one where like Homer, like, no, that wasn't Homer. It was actually, they had Disco Stew come in, but he was Discus Stew. And it's the small little lines like this, the very small little lines. But like, he says, you know, Mom, Dad's been away for a while, so I'll leave you two to get acquainted. He's like, you know, Discus Stew comes in and says, Discus Stew wants a game for two. He's just like, Bart's like, all right, I'll leave you two alone. It's like, Discus Stew was talking to you. He's like, ugh.
See, at some point they're like, oh, you know what? Fuck, this boy looks kind of nice.
He looks kind of like his mom. Yeah, why not?
Close enough.
Look, I just want to clarify right here. I was not trying to take it there. I was just saying back in the day, it was probably there was much raw. There wasn't really much of like
security cameras. Really wasn't like they put up a bunch of bodies. It's not like Odysseus left a ton of bodyguards there or something like that.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a fucked up horrible person. My mind went to the worst place. I'm just guessing because you would
he just gets back like when do we have all these kids? Oh, by the way,
it's been 30 years and yeah,
people aren't gonna wait 30 years, and they're not leaving either.
You see the boat just going back. You hear like Willie Nelson on the road again.
Just can't wait to get back on that road again with my bag of wind. Just what if like fucking back to like the Link version of the Odyssey. Link gets back after 30 fucking years. He's got a beard. Like that's the one thing I want to see Link. I want to see man Link, or I want to see fucking like Unforgiven Link, where he's old and he's like war vet and like he's fucking grizzled and shit. And he gets back and he's got like, he's kind of got cloak on. He's got this full beard and whatnot. You know, and he just comes and Ganon's there, and all his other enemies are fucking just like living in. Maybe because by this point Link just has. He's not fucking just like some hobo kid that really saves the day like he always fucking is.
Mm-hmm. Who's like the mute child that everyone hates in the village, but somehow is like, oh, yeah, I guess he was the chosen one.
The fairyless kid.
Maybe we shouldn't have been throwing rocks at him, calling him retard all those years, you know?
Yeah, because then next thing you know, he comes back and no more Mr. Nice Guy's playing, and he's swinging that Master Sword. Like he doesn't.
Comes back with the fierce deity mask, like, oh, fuck.
But literally, like that's one thing I think that's where they need to take Zelda to next. Because he's always like, you know, he's either a boy or he's like a teenager. Where's the man Link?
I want there to be. We've said this like going some years back, and what kind of inspired it was there was a Polaris made a short miniseries of it, and it had a lot of like internet like YouTube stars in it as like characters. But I really want them to do kind of like a Legend of Zelda Western. I mean, it still plays by the rules of Legend of Zelda, but it's almost kind of like, you know, Hyrule. Even though it's still Hyrule, you live in this fantasy steampunkish type world.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to actually see it go like, you know, we could still have that fantasy steampunk elements, but let's see time progress a little bit. Maybe not every game, but just maybe one or two games. Just do that.
And it sounds kind of weird, but maybe like, okay, he still has the sword, but instead of having a bow and arrow, now this might be like the biggest part change. Uh-huh. He has a gun.
That's what I think. And maybe before you even get the sword, I mean, we've said this before, but I'm not sure if we still have all the same listeners we had before.
Yeah,
but,
this was literally like maybe episode 10 or something like that.
But this is like he maybe rather than having like a bow and arrow, he has like a revolver. It starts off, it can only shoot 3 shots, but then you get an upgraded one, you get more shots. So, and you could use it in a sense like, okay, you need to solve this puzzle, you need to shoot these 3 little things to open this door, but you can't do it quick enough, so you need to get the next like upgraded revolver. So you get a new like I'm not sure what you call it, but the revolving piece that holds all the bullets.
The cylinder.
You need to get like the cylinder. You gotta get a new cylinder for it, which you have to go through the temple to get. And you unlock the next one.
And you could treat the revolver as like it's almost like the slingshot, and then when you get the rifle, it's like the bow and arrow. And then you could still have things like I think the hook shot could still be there. Maybe the hook shot's like, I was gonna say probably keep the hook shot still. But I was gonna say like make it almost like sort of like a lasso.
Rather than I'm not even saying it has to be complete, you know, like desert only. I'm just thinking like in the context of generally when you look at Hyrule, most of the time it's a green field. Let's have it be kind of like you could still have the ice stage. You could still have still have
all those elements, but just have it.
You can still have those elements, but it's more of like a desert. The overall world is a desert, and then you go through some maybe weird vortex that takes you to the forest temple, or like
almost be like in like Red Dead Redemption, where like you go up. And, you start getting to the mountain areas, you go down, and then you start getting to, like, the real deep desert. You go to the far right, and then you kind of maybe have, like, Hyrule area, which is all kind of like a big city. And then you go maybe to the left, and then you kind of have your ocean world.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool concept. And Link's, I mean, keep in mind, I'm like expanding on like Fistful of Rupees, which is a mini series that Polaris did. So keep in mind, I'm not taking full credit for this. But I think they had...
You probably, you could do that. There's a t-shirt idea right there.
Well, they actually had a T-shirt of it. They actually had like...
Fuck that T-shirt. Draw your own T-shirt, goddammit.
Draw my own.
I've never seen it, so you draw one, and I'll say, dude, it's brand new to me.
Yeah, we have to just... There's just like 5 minutes blank out of this podcast. You know what? Just blank. Anyway, yeah, so that'd be a great T-shirt, you know? Didn't even take the time to press the 2 audio files together. Just like 5 minutes, just blank.
Yeah. But, I still think that, like, something that, like, wouldn't, like, change the thing too much, but it's just make Link old. I just think that'd be cool. Just make him, like...
And you could do that with the Western one, too, I think.
Yeah, you could do it with the Western one, but even just, like, if this is the only big change, and, like, because, Zelda games don't change extremely. Every once in a while they will, like something like Wind Waker or whatnot, but, like, in general, it's, like... It's not really necessarily a bad thing, because I love all the Legend of Zelda games. But just the big change would be that Link's old. That's the whole thing. And he's been through almost like one of those ones, like... It may not exactly say it, but it's almost like he's been through all the adventures that he's done, like, throughout the time. It's almost like that, the unforgiven character. It's kind of like he could be just the older version of any of these other ones. They don't really... It's sort of like all these worlds have linked together to make this just kind of one Link that has all these life experiences. And now he's out for one more adventure.
Some people are gonna yell, "Shut the fuck up," to their iPod or whatever it is they're listening to this on. But I got an idea. And I just want to say it. It's gonna sound kind of stupid, but I want to see it. Old ass Link with a beard, kind of tarted up tunic. He doesn't have the green cap anymore. He doesn't have the green cap. He doesn't need the green cap. Just old, he's still walking green. Maybe there's some chainmail on there, and he's riding like
maybe he has a hood. What if he has a hood?
Hood works. I'll take a hood. Yeah, hood works. He's riding. I'm just having trouble imagining an old man with a little like elf boy hat. I can take that at teenage Link, but I don't know about old man with elf boy hat. And he's riding like a gas powered steampunk robot Epona.
That could be cool.
Because Epona's been dead for some time. Epona's been dead. She's a horse. So he's on a new one. He has a new Epona.
I think that could work. I just think
a lot of people would hate the idea of robot Epona. I like that. I know
that sounds cool.
Sounds. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think the idea of just an older Link. It's just something like, just picture Link with a fucking beard. Maybe he's a little bit beefier, and he's just start off like the Unforgiven. He's fucking working on a farm.
How about this? How about this shit? Like, how about like Hyrule? It's still like, it's almost kind of like, it's still like, medieval ages, but it's almost post-apocalyptic in a sense. Like things did not go as planned. He fulfilled his prophecy, but yet shit's going down. They need him for one more time, or there's a job he's supposed to take. He didn't take it because he's an old man. So now he's living with this regret. Zelda's maybe dead or captured. God knows what happened.
Something. I guess you got to have Zelda in there because I don't know how. Because that's like called the Legend of Zelda.
You think she's dead, but she comes back. Whatever,
Yeah, so something like that. But almost like one of those ones like.
Oh shit!
He's fucking working on the farm. It's just like he's like, I don't go on adventures anymore.
How about this? How about this shit? Now I'm not really completely sure because every Zelda game, sometimes it's the same Link. Other times though, it's kind of like the reincarnation of Link or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What if what this Link is, this is like the end of one Link, and there's a character you meet earlier on, but basically he is the next Link. He is I'm not sure if one Link has...
Oh, so like you play as the older Link, but you also see the new Link at the same time?
And he takes your spot, maybe, at the very end of the game. And now, when you go back to replay the game, you're not playing as John Marston's son. But you...
something like where maybe, like, the final battle... Like, because you could treat this... Because this one's like, Zelda's at the point where it's like, you could make it... It doesn't be, like, a mature game, but, it could be treated as, like, a very deep story. Treat it just like... Because, Zelda's always been kind of more like fun adventure. Well, treat this more like serious adventure. Like... And literally, this is the one of the few times, like, have Link, he sacrifices himself in the end to finally put away Ganon or something, because maybe he comes back, because he's something like that.
Ganon always going to come back, or it could even be a new villain.
It could be a new villain, too. Maybe it could be, like, somewhat connected. I just feel like when you have, like, those kind of, like, final stories or whatnot, you got to kind of have...
Well, it's like, it's not even so much, it's like the final story, it's just kind of like... all Links eventually gotta die to become...
Just call it Legend of Zelda. All Links gotta die.
Cutting all Links.
And all it just shows this old Link sitting in a farm on the cover, smoking just pipe or whatnot, just hunched over.
With this like mechanical gas-powered crossbow kind of like slung like in his hand.
You see like the Hyrulean shield, and it's all kind of faded, scratched up, and dinged around and whatnot. And that's just the cover. And then the hood's over his eyes, so it's kind of dark and whatnot.
See the beard,
He's got this long fucking almost like Viking beard going on.
Robo Epona is kind of like, just like behind him.
His hair it's like all kind of gray now. It's like got a little bit of blonde left in it, but mostly it's all gray.
And he has some thick iron boots.
Oh yeah, no, and he's all kind of more beefed out. Like he's like, he's all buffed out and whatnot. He's just this hard working guy.
I want his tunic to look more like, kind of like a, I know this is more westernish, and that could be fine. I want his tunic to look more like a green faded poncho with chainmail beneath it.
Yeah, and you can see the chains kind of hanging out, and maybe they come over like sort of his sleeves a bit. But then I think his arm should be exposed, like, because that just makes him look more like like.
He doesn't need the white spandex to.
No, he doesn't need the white spandex, but he doesn't need to be walking around fucking freeballing it either.
No. He can.
That's one of those ones I've always kind of wondered. Is he just freeballing it the whole time?
Like, that takes some balls, but you might lose them quickly. So just how about some chainmail pants instead of freeballing it? That works too.
Or maybe even if he had like some like
or worn out
like armored out kind of pants, sort of kind of.
Yeah, and then like Yeah, because all links eventually, we don't talk about it, but they all eventually got to die. And what if this is like the end of one link and he's passing it on to the next one? Like this, I'm not sure if one has to die for the other to like be born, or how it works exactly. But maybe he just, it's setting up. Maybe there's. I know. How about this? To cover that, to piss off any angry fanboy rage, there is a young girl in your village who's pregnant, immaculate conception, or whatever the fuck, I don't know. And it's just kind of like, okay, well, she's like a daughter to you. You protect her. But then once you die, next link's born.
Yeah, there we go. I think that's a good way to end it. But I just want to see a grizzled, fucking, like, hard-working old Link that's just, he's been on so many goddamn adventures now. Fuck, give him an eye patch if you want to make it even too. That might be more like Metal Gear Solid-like, but...
And if you want, maybe even this might be pushing it a bit more. I mean, you're playing as Link, but maybe this could be a reoccurring character. You could have some pissed-off old Goron kind of following you around, meets you up every so often. Like, we've been in many adventures together, Link,
Fuck, it could be like in The Unforgiven, like all the people he meets. It's like he meets a Goron, he meets... what's the water guy called?
The Princess
Zora.
Yeah. Zora.
He meets just like this like ragtag like old group of guys. Oh, fucking tie it almost. You can almost tie it into some of the other characters. Like they're just all older now.
Mm-hmm.
And
then, yeah, I want to see.
Well, I think it'd be cool too if like it just pulled elements from all like sort of all these worlds kind of came together, and this Link is almost like if you take the bottom of a fucking Triforce, and then you have all your worlds down here. Well, now they've all centered up to the very tip top of the Triforce, and that's where this one Link is. It's like he's got, it's a mix, like almost like he was sailing the seas at one point in time. He was in the desert. He had to fucking travel through time. He had to go through different dimensions. He did all this shit. And it
was all for nothing.
He was on a 20-year fucking voyage home from an island, and this is what it's all led up to.
He
went through seasons and he went through ages.
He had to put on many masks. I don't fucking know.
Fuck it, yeah. All this stuff, and this is like this one Link's combined together. That would be a fucking ballsy Zelda game.
I'll say this right now. If I knew there'd be money and I had a lot of time, if I had a lot of time and there'd be money involved, I would so fucking make a fan comic off this. I would do that. I would so go to... But...
Did you ever play Twilight Princess? Or not Twilight Princess, but Skyward Sword?
I still haven't finished it. I gotta finish it.
There's fucking robots in that game. So it's like... They could have that steampunk element.
They could make him like, yo, I did some jobs for you in the past. I miss Epona. Make me Epona too.
Yeah, because literally there's this one little world you go to, and it's kind of like... I want to say it's almost like it's even farther back in time. Because, Skyward Sword's like the first one. So I want to say those robots came from the past. And what you do
you could even go like somewhere like to be a part, like some people would be saying shut the fuck up. But at some point, like, this could be badass too. To bring it full circle. Like he's riding towards a cliff. There's a huge army, more than he could even handle. He's riding for a cliff.
It's a huge army. It ties in the fucking Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah. Then Robo Epona jumps off the cliff. Turns
into a giant bird. It fucking flies away.
Then starts like breathing fire down on all those. Like, oh god, this sounds like something off the metal album. Yeah. No, I know. Let's make it like the bird.
Yeah, make it the bird.
Keep it a bird to bring it around full.
And then the fucking owl that follows you around in Ocarina and the game.
That's your new Navi. That's your new Navi.
Yeah.
Because owls are more badass, and they just. Well, actually, that owl was a little bit more like, "Hello, how are you?" That one was more wacky.
Well, yeah, but he's all old now, so he's like, it's just this old wise owl. Maybe he has a fucking eye patch.
Give him eye patch, yeah.
Link doesn't need the eye patch, but he can have an eye patch.
If you need a character to be badass, just give him an eye patch.
Literally, it changes everything. Oh, that would be sick. I think that's what it should be. So, like, not only can Link fucking ride Epona 2, but he could also fly Epona 2.
This game's never gonna happen. But
no, it's never gonna happen. That's like one.
That's why I want to make a. That's why I want to make a fan comic. But on top of that, I don't think I have enough Zelda knowledge. And on top of that,
just go fucking buy the Zelda Historia guy, and then you're fucking set. That's all you need. Read that book through, and it's just like you played every single game without actually having to play them all.
Beyond that, that's a lot of work for no money. So fuck it.
That's okay. That'll be a project down the line. I'll put that on the back burner with my T-shirt company and all my other like ideas that just never seem to see the light of day.
Maybe do a T-shirt for this, but yeah, like old Link.
It's one of those ones I just want to do. I've always wanted to see an old Link.
Want to see the old man Logan of like Legend of Zelda stories.
Exactly, just like kind of Clint Eastwood like, just old badass, and it's just one last mission. It's the one last adventure.
Ganondorf, so you hate him that much more. You have to do a kind of reverse thing. Ganondorf,
he's married to Zelda in this one, forcefully.
Well, how about this? What about this? To bring it kind of, and I kind of like my big, beefy, angry Ganondorf, but just to mix it up a little bit, this is Link at his Ganondorf. The Ganondorf he fought is already dead. So what if this is like a young Ganondorf, kind of like some young
Ganondorf,
kind of like some young, kind of suave little prick you just want to beat the shit out of, but you know what I mean? Just some kind of like Dark Prince kind of thing.
That's literally kind of like the boss, or like the main boss in fucking Skyward Sword. He's like this young
I
dark.
fought that guy.
Yeah, it's like.
But only it's Ganondorf, and he's a little less feminine. He's a little less.
Yeah, make him more like. Yeah, he's more manly. He's more kind of Ganondorf, but he feels just like you're battling a young Ganondorf. And that's kind of like the thing too. Is that's like his edge. He's got youth. Link's old, but he's got experience.
The one you battled is already fucking dead.
Yeah. So. Maybe that's even like Link has his fucking like skull like inside of his house of like Ganon, just this big skull.
He just has Ganon's like head, like not even like
taxidermed.
Not even the monster head, but just Ganon's human head just mounted on the wall.
Taxidermed. No. Fucking every boss from all the Zelda games, there's just a row of fucking heads on the wall like it's a hunter's cabin.
What about this? What if Ganondorf's head is just like taxidermy, like his mouth is open and it's in the bathroom? His mouth is the ultimate indignity.
No, what it is, it's Ganon's head and its mouth's open, but it's the shitter. It's like in Duke Nukem 3D, there's that one boss you fight, and then I think he rips off his head and just sits down on him and pulls up a newspaper.
Oh. Fuck yes.
Just I just think it's one of those ones like, dude, just the game doesn't have to be mature rated, but just take it to like the next level.
Well, it's not one of those things you don't actually see Link sitting down, shitting down dead Ganon's throat. It's just
you just see it in there, and you just kind of wonder why it's like that.
It's just going into the bathroom. If you look around, his whole hut, there's just like this like taxidermied Ganon monster, just like morphed into the shape of a toilet. It's like it's up into your own interpretation. You know?
You figure out what this is all about. But I just like the concept too of just taking like all the best elements from every Zelda game. Like even ones that like people don't always care nearly as much for. It's just like there's just a bit of that in there, and it's almost just kind of saying it like without spelling it out. It's almost like he has been on all these trips. He has done all this stuff. This is the Link from all those worlds combined into one.
And he still doesn't talk.
No, he still doesn't talk. That's got to be part of it too. In this one, he just grunts. He's like Clint Eastwood in fucking Gran Torino.
Only like he doesn't sing the sad song at the end when he dies. It's just like that's the song. It's not Clint Eastwood singing. That's just all it is.
You make it really slow, like dun 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 dun.
Voiced by Clint Eastwood.
That'd be badass. Someday. It's just one of the ones that's like, I guess that's like, maybe in Japan, there's the concept is like, because you never see too many stories in Japan where like it's an old man out on an adventure. I mean, every once in a while, I guess you got Metal Gear Solid, but so many times it's like they always kind of like they always stay in that sort of like boy, teen, young adult era. Like they never go much farther than that.
And it's one of those things.
It's sort of like Pokemon. I always thought Pokemon would be a sweet game too, is to see like, okay, yeah, every single game it's a 10-year-old boy fucking kicking ass and saving the day. But what if it was like, what if that guy just kept carrying on? And sometimes you always see it too. It's like in like Gold and Silver, you see like this is what happens when you take Pokemon to like your fucking 20s. you go and live in a fucking cave because there's nobody else strong enough to battle you, and you just wait.
Just waiting. Like, yeah, well, I wanted to be the very best, the best that ever was, and to catch them was my real test, and train them was my cause. But I had to be in a fucking cave where all I have to do is, just fucking wait. And yeah. I eat rare candies for my dinner every day, and that's it. At first, it seems kind of cool. It's like every 10-year-old boy's dream, but when you get older, just...
Yeah, once you've used that code too many times, you've made hundreds of them,
Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. No, but like, originally, I read somewhere the guy that created Pokemon, originally, when they first started the show, it was something that was meant to age with its audience. It was
like
he was going to try... Or like Harry Potter, something like that, where Ash actually did get older. Now, at no point do I think he had a plan for like Ash to have like an eye patch, like I couldn't save him. I don't think
he's got a beard, and he's growing smart and wise in his old years. He's like, I started out as an idiot. I made a lot of mistakes. He's kind of like somehow, and I can't even tell you how I fucking got to the Elite Four. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. I think about everything I did, and I just had a lot of fucking luck.
They just at some point he's just kind of
Pikachu's just sitting there smoking a pipe, just old and crusty and fucking he's just white now. He's not even yellow.
He's like leaning over bed like, I'm sorry, my old friend. This is my fault. You see, Pikachu has an amputated leg, from all these years of battling. He's like, Pikachu. It's just like the super deep voice. I don't think it was ever going to reach that point, but he said he wanted it to actually grow and mature. And then, like, Japanese executives who were running the show, we realized something. Kids are fucking stupid. And they're primarily between the ages of 8 and 12. They're going to love this shit. So,
kids, what age are they? Well, they're primarily between the ages of 8 and 12. Huh. Interesting.
Keep them between 10.
Yes.
That's our demographic. Can
we lower the kids' age? Can we physically alter children and make them stay children longer? Can we make that age range a bit bigger?
So far, no. But what we can do is we can make the main character always 10. I'm like, interesting. We'll settle for that for now.
I just think it was once
age solution that we could soak into the Pikachu dolls. That as they get old, children will stay like dwarf. Like, why haven't I grown up? He's just clenching this Pikachu doll. He's still he's 27, but he's still the size of an 8-year-old.
Well, I always say perfect example. It's Dragon Ball. You go to that. Goku starts out as a kid, but in Dragon Ball Z, then he's adult, and you look at Dragon Ball Z is the most popular thing ever, and it's a bunch of guys all in their fucking 30s. You know what I mean? Like, why can't you make Pokemon like that? A bunch of guys in their 30s fucking out still catching Pokemon and shit.
I just imagining the amped up Pokemon thing, like Poke the dragon, Pokeball Z. Just have the Canadian guitar.
Gotta catch them all. Pokemon.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Pokemon. Fuck yeah. Pokemon Z. Come get some. No, but
in your mouth. We gotta take that last part out. Fuck you, that stays. That's fucking life.
That's what men care about is when it gets on the mouth. Not their own mouth. It's when it shoots onto someone else's mouth.
That static, that electric shock. Or was it? No, thunder shock. That's what it was.
Thunder shock, that fucking shit. But I don't know. It's just I always think age those characters. You know what I mean? Because you think about Pokemon, it's you have fucking people in their 30s almost playing Pokemon still. It's just age the fuck up with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's just one game. That's it. You make enough Pokemon games out there that if this for some reason doesn't work, you can always go back to your 10-year-old kids romp in the forest. But till then, fucking come on, just give us old characters. I don't care.
Or it could just be, I think I think the main thing that makes it it's still totally a kid-friendly thing and mainly aimed at kids. But I think the main thing that keeps it that way is the TV show, because I don't think Ash is aged.
No, he's looks like, because I've seen the commercials for fucking the Pokemon Y and X show, and it's his hat's sort of changed, and he looks like he maybe got to age 11, 12, all that shit has happened in 2 years.
And Ash is just.
Well, actually, I will say this. Even when I look at Ash, he doesn't look 10 years old. He looks like he's 15, but I think it's just the way he's drawn.
Even when I liked the show, though, I I did not like Ash. I wanted him to win, and I wanted him to do good just so the show would progress.
Yeah.
It was just like, you're just this annoying fucking existence I tolerate in order to see the rest of this world that I like, you know?
Yeah. I think this is what Ash is. He's like, there's viewers at home. It's just like, it's okay, Billy, just because you're a total fuck up and nobody seems to like you. And look at Ash. He's at the Elite Four. Holy fuck! I don't even know how this possibly happened, but it's inspiration. It's hope, Billy. You can make it. You can make it in life, Billy. Maybe you will be something. Maybe you won't, but still, look at Ash. You know what I mean? He's got friends with a guy named Brock who tries to fuck everything. He's got Misty. She's a complete bitch, and he's friends with her too. Go figure. You could be that too. You could have friends. You could achieve. You could become something. Pokemon.
She turns back around like, oh fuck, he already hung himself.
Oh fuck, that link cable got him already.
I'll stop using that because we've just driven that in the ground. Oh, I'm
That's
running
okay.
low. Okay, reuse joke.
I realize when we have those like carry-on jokes, they only last one episode, so you can make fucking use of it to the extreme, and then it wears itself on and stays in our memory bank. But you know, it's one of those ones like, come on, just old characters. You know, I just look at Pokemon just one of those ones like.
That's why I like the Ego Raptor like Pokemon cartoons because I think he even though Ash isn't like 300 pounds, I think he captures Ash's essence totally perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, just use your thunder smash. He's like,
He's like, I'm gonna wear this badge out so everybody can see. He's like, you're not really gonna wear that in public, are you? Yeah, because I want to be known as the Pokemon Master.
He's like, well, you didn't actually beat me, you know. He's like,
yeah,
you know what about prove my resourcefulness? Like, well, I know that. Like, okay, thank you. Walks away. Like, fuck. That's what that you know, just like the whole thing. Like, why did you evolve me, you asshole? Because I love you, Pikachu. You want to see me lose? Is that it?
Well, it's funny too, because like when I play like Pokemon, like Red and Blue, I don't picture myself as the same Ash as the TV show.
No,
I picture myself as if Ash was a very That's why I think that like. Now I've never really watched that. You say there's that remake show out there. Now did they?
I saw like the first 2 episodes.
Now did they make Ash better in that one?
They made him like. I watched the first 2 episodes. It kind of like because I guess it was just a mini series. It wasn't like a full on new one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put it. He's like. I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it because he's not really that much better. It's Red instead of Ash. But basically, what happens is he. Where Ash is more of kind of like, whoa, let's go on a fucking adventure. Blah, blah, blah. I just kind of lucked out. Red is a little bit more like kind of oblivious. And at some point, he's battling some other guy. And he tries to throw a Pokeball and catch the other guy's Pokemon. He says, what the fuck are you doing? He's trying to steal my pitch. He's like, oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. I'm sorry.
Didn't you read the fucking Pokemon manual that came with this? What, did some professor just send you out to the world? Yeah, he literally
I don't know how to I don't know how to read.
I had a 5-minute conversation with him. He fucking handed me a Pokemon and said, there you go, buddy. Go do the research for me. He gave me this Pokedex. I don't even know what it does. Like I don't even know how to turn it on. Like, look at this thing. I'm showing it to you. Come on.
I can't even read. So,
the guy's just like, that's the fucking manual. You push the power button, you fucking idiot.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. I was a poor kid. I never had a tablet or a computer. I had a Super Nintendo in my house. It's 2014. That's all I got.
And then like he's like, yeah, even if he did know that, I just think he probably forgot it. He can't even remember his own grandson's fucking name.
Yeah, literally. Age those characters up. That's all I have to say. I think that's the way of the future. Fucking aged characters. I guess it was one when you kind of get older. You just sort of you're like I'm old getting older. I kind of want them to age with me. You know what I mean?
You don't want them to, yeah.
It's just like I don't want to, always be. I just want to see them be older. That's all I'm asking for. I'm asking for one game like that. If it doesn't work, then fuck it. We don't have to. But I look. There's other games out there where we're starting to get older characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's one. Just age up those characters. I think it's just try it with one game. I look at other video games and we have older characters in it. The Last of Us is like that. Red Dead Redemption is like that.
Well, I also think because those are like older franchises,
and they're also
franchises with older people.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand, but here's the thing though: it's like The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption are practically baby franchises compared to like how old Legend of Zelda is. And even Pokemon, it's 1995. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yeah,
We're almost on the 15th anniversary of Pokemon, so it's just one of those ones like, why not just make by that standard? If in 1995 that game was geared at 10-year-old kids, those kids right now are all 35. Wait, did I just do this math totally wrong? No, those kids are all 25, I guess. Wait, that make any fucking sense? No, if they were 10,
I'll let you do it. You're already there. I'll just let you do it.
if they're born in 1985.
What's the number, Spencer? What's the number? What's the number?
If they were born in 1985, then they are. I don't know why I just told you right.
I was born
30
in
years. They're
87.
30 years old. They'll be 30 years old. So that, like, let's just say, boy, that's like right around our fucking age too, and I can't even figure that out. Bad, but so we're just gonna say that everybody in their Pokemon age range is around 30 years old.
Well, that's assuming the people that didn't leave it behind. You know what I mean?
You know, there's still some.
There's a lot of people that just liked it up to a certain point and just let it go. But now they're.
I still think
there are those.
Because you know, it still seems like I would still say half the audience, or half the people that like Pokemon, still play Pokemon. You know,
they play the games, probably nothing else though.
Well, yeah. I'm not talking about the TV. The TV show can be itself. I'm just talking about one singular game. Just make it like, just adult it up just a bit, you know, and stick it like that. That's just how it is, you know. Because I would still probably say 50% of people that go out and buy Pokemon are older. The games. You know, I still think there is, you know, young kids that jump on board, but I still think about 50% of people that like Pokemon still play Pokemon. Maybe not every single one that comes out, but like every other game, maybe they're buying, you know. So why not? You know, Zelda's the other thing though. It's like Zelda's like, I would say probably
that's a given. I'm surprised that one.
80% of the people playing it are, you know, 20.
That's already at 25
years. People, you know. Yeah.
It's already at 25 years. You could totally get away with an aged up Zelda.
Exactly. So why not? Come on. But hopefully we'll get to that point at some point. You know, I just look, it's like, yeah, as I said, like there's other genres out there where, you know, you're playing as these old characters and nobody bats an eye. You know, a kid plays Red Dead Redemption. It's not like he's going like, why am I playing as an old fuck? You know, or it's like playing like The Last of Us.
Unless you're like the one person that complained of Metal Gear Solid.
Oh yeah, well yeah. For example, in Metal Gear.
Well, like Hideo Kojima heard, like, he said, like one young girl said, "I don't want to be playing as some old man."
Oh yeah, that's like the whole reason why Raiden was created. He's just like, yeah, apparently, you know, high school, you know, Asian girls hate old men. That was what we learned from our surveys. Like old men, they're just like guys that want to like buy you dinner and take you on a ride. Fuck them. Hey, little Jappy, how you doing?
I like how even in Japan, the pederasts have southern accents.
They're just like, they're like,
yeah,
I'm a colonel on the military base. What are you doing later? You know. Let's see. I went out and I got myself a chibi doll of Inuyasha because that's what I heard you like. And then I got myself a Pokemon Gold. It's like, it's 2014. Like, yeah, gold. Just like, what are you doing? You wanna go hit the burger joints? Cause fuck that sushi. I can't stand that. What are you doing in Japan? I don't know. It's the only place they could take me.
They say that boy, he ain't fit for the Iraq.
Come on, I'm driving a Hummer here. Come on, I'm not driving the biggest vehicle. You girls like big vehicles, right?
Some fucking Hummer just like coasting around like some like old girls' school.
There's just a bunch of like little teeny like heads of motorcycles. He's just running over, not even paying attention. Come on.
He's like just blaring John Mellencamp, just like rotating, driving back and forth, just making circles around the screw.
He drives back and there's like
just
he goes like, yeah, apparently Japanese girls, they just hate old people. That's what I've learned. Here's your research.
And they also hate John Mellencamp too. How about that?
Make sure whatever you do, don't have your character listen to John Mellencamp. But yeah, it's like that's all like
John Mellencamp. No, get the fuck out. Let me tell you about Jack and Diane. Get the fuck out, dude. Really, come on.
John Mellencamp, I will say, that's one band I really don't like in those like it's like one of those 70s classic rock bands. I don't know.
That's the reason I went to it. That's the reason I went to John Mellencamp.
It's just like it's instantly like no.
I wish I was Springsteen.
But I think it's kind of funny, like when you think about Metal Gear Solid, like who are the like really is like was that a big concern that like 15-year-old girls weren't buying Metal Gear Solid? Like was that like really ask yourself who the hell are you? Is that who you're trying to sell to? Come on. Come on.
Yeah, that is one of those sad things you find out. Like, really, it's kind of like, when you find out, like, we want to try and bring in the young kids to see Expendables. It's kind of like that.
Just like, they're like.
Not as bad. Well, actually, no, the other way around. Like Metal Gear Solid, I think that's more worse. But Raiden actually ended up being a cool character later on down the line.
Well, it's like one of those like I actually like Raiden quite a bit.
I do. He's just not Snake. If give me the option to play as Raiden or Snake, Snake.
I choose Snake 100%. That decision is made. But I
Being
still like Raiden.
Bad character. Yeah.
But I don't know. Let's just olden up our characters, and that's what we'll do. Goddammit. And that's the bottom line. The Stone Cold Shed Show.
If Stone said it.
Yeah, Stone said he can't complain there. But yeah, well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up at. Make sure to check out oldmanorange.com. Until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. If you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.